Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out the Podcast, the only podcast that lets you podcast while you podcast. I am the Game Master and Board Game Guru, Johanan.
I am the co-host of Fresh Out the Podcast and Fresh Out the Box. I'm a retired child crimes and human trafficking detective turned tabletop titan and improv comedian. I'm Casualty CDG.
I was waiting for. I'm always used to saying, but you can call me Gary.
You
You
can't.
didn't say it.
You can't.
Oh, all right. Well, I am the professional media movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen. I was trying to go fast, like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh.
Why might I ask? Why did you want to go fast like Sonic the Hedgehog?
Because Sonic, he's got to go fast. He goes fast. That's his thing. That's his his shtick.
I was trying to serve you up a fucking segue, bro.
Because we're gonna be talking about the Sonic movie. Is that what you're doing there?
Well, just set yourself up then.
Drew's like, how do you like it?
Damn.
We're starting off on point here. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog came out a little over a week ago, and so I kind of wanted to talk about it, but it kind of got me thinking. Actually, it wasn't even Sonic that got me thinking. It was there's a new Harry Potter movie out this weekend, right? A new Fantastic Beasts movie is out this weekend, which, I mean, speaking for myself here, but I feel like I know of it, and that's because I follow movies closely, but I feel like I've hardly seen any trailers. Like, I haven't seen many TV commercials I feel like it's kind of been invisible, and I know there's a lot of behind the scenes things with Harry Potter that's kind of weird, but I was reading an article that said the new Fantastic Beasts movie, the Secrets of Dumbledore, I believe is what it's called, is on track to make about $42 million this weekend for its opening weekend. Now, by comparison, Sonic 2 last weekend made $72 million. So we're in a world where a new Sonic movie is making 70 plus million, but a new Harry Potter movie, which is, a proven box office dominator in the past.
That's a Harry Potter spin-off. That's not a Harry Potter movie.
Fair, but it's in the Harry Potter world, and it's gonna struggle to even hit 50 million this weekend.
It still is news to me that Sonic is almost double its numbers, slam dunking on it. I'm still surprised about that.
Yeah, and I don't have it up in front of me of like every Harry Potter box office opening weekend, but I can assure you, I know it's a lot. I know especially the seventh movies, part 1 and part 2, were like mega big, and I think the Fantastic Beasts movies have steadily declined. I haven't even seen the last one. I've heard it wasn't very good.
It was not very good.
And I've seen mixed reviews of the new one. But anyway, so that got me thinking of, established IP and video games and all this kind of stuff, which there's kind of a lot to dig into there. But Jahan, you actually saw Sonic 2, right?
I did. I saw it for the podcast. I try to do my homework sometimes, at least. And this actually looked good. The introduction of Tails that we knew was coming from like the end credit scene of the last movie, and the first one was not bad. And I was excited to see what seemed to like it was going to be a more fully formed Eggman character from Jim Carrey. He was like the guy this time. Like he was actually Eggman from the games, and it was great. I liked it. I mean, like, if you're gonna go to a family movie night, like this is good.
Gary, you've seen the first one, right?
Yeah. I watched the first one on Hulu long after it came out.
And what are your feelings on it?
I thought it was good for a kids' family movie, and I will. When they announced the second one, I was like, I'll watch that when it's on a streaming service. I'm looking forward to it being on a streaming service, but it's not a run out to the theater type of film for me.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, for a kids movie. Like, it is It is
Yeah.
unabashedly a kid's movie, and the second one is too. And I think when I first started watching the newest one, at the beginning I was like, this is kind of silly, and then I had to put myself back, and say, this is a kid's movie. I was in a theater where there were some kids, and they were loving it. I mean, laughing, and we'll get to that.
There is nothing I hate more than the sound of a child laughing.
Which is why you wait for these movies to come on streaming instead of going to the theater within its first week.
That's exactly right.
I like that in the image search I did to put up during the pod, the original Sonic design is up in the mix. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah,
I remember seeing that, man. I was also upset. I was like, what the hell? Like, he really does look like the kid from Jumanji when he was turning into a monkey.
That's where these movies are unique, right? I mean, that first trailer came out, there was immediate fan backlash. Within a week or so, the studio was like, we're going to fix it. And then, it went quiet for a bit, and then they came back, and people liked the look of Sonic once they took it back to what Sonic actually looks like. And the first movie did really well. So it just goes to show for them, at least in this occasion, listening to the fans helped. They did what the fans wanted. It made a lot of money. And now here they are 2 years later with a sequel.
And the sequel is bigger than a Harry Potter trilogy spinoff.
Yeah.
So it's big. They did the thing.
Exactly. So, and I'm with you, Jahan, and we can talk about it a little bit, Sonic 2. Which, I mean, it's a kid's movie, again. So you got to, make sure you go in with that mindset. We're not going to sit down and watch Citizen Kane here or something. This is a Sonic movie, but it is really fun, and there were a lot of gags in it that made me laugh. And I remembered watching the first one. My big takeaway was, oh man, it's like the Jim Carrey of old. This is like Jim Carrey back in the days of The Mask, and Ace Ventura is kind of what it felt like in Sonic, and he is, on that same level, if not even more so, in the second one. I mean, just doing his thing. And I loved it. I loved that part of it. And I like seeing Jim Carrey working. I wish he was doing more than some Sonic movies, but I get it,
Yeah.
No,
I mean, it was good. The plot tracked. It was, point A to point B. They did it. It happened. I liked Dr. Robotnik being the way he was. It was very good. I also had some laugh moments. I mean, there's what can you say about this movie? It is a kids movie,
right?
And
I think on that note, one of the things I thought was interesting is I know because I have had some friends in the past that have been much bigger fans of Sonic than me, and Sonic the games have a lot of lore. I mean, there really is a lot of lore. And the second movie got into that a little bit more than I thought. I mean, we get into the Chaos Emeralds and all that kind of stuff is like a big kind of MacGuffin plot points of the new one. And of course, Knuckles is the other big part of it.
Knuckles was great.
He was. And Idris Elba was good, good voice for Knuckles. And it's not like he's in it a little bit. Like, Knuckles is definitely a big part of the movie. But I mean, I think that if you go into this movie knowing anything about movies and about Sonic, you can kind of guess what's going to happen because anybody that knows the games knows that Knuckles has been primarily an ally for Sonic, and as the years have gone on, and he's built up to be the bad guy in this one.
I like the way they build it up. I like the way that he slowly notices that Jim Carrey is a dick, and I don't know. It was pretty good. And then
notices that he's a dick. I thought you just said notices his dick at first. And
Knuckles notices Jim Carrey's dick
for a children's movie.
But what is that thing? Hedgehogs don't have dicks. Yeah.
But so that's Sonic, and then also, I mean, Gary, there's a post-credits scene in this movie. Do you care if I spoil that for you?
Is it related to chili dogs, or does it have the two robots from the cartoon?
No.
Neither.
All right, go ahead then.
It does. So spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the post credits
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Spoiler!
So it shows Shadow the Hedgehog is what we're given. Oh yeah.
That's going to be it. After Shadow, then you have to start digging down for some really bad characters like Rogue and Amethyst and characters like that. So this will probably be 3. There'll probably be 3 and done, and that's good.
Bat? Isn't there a little bat girl?
Yeah, that's Rogue.
That's Rogue.
Or,
Okay.
Or Rouge,
yeah, so,
maybe. I think it's Rogue.
Which I'll say this: I saw Shadow, and I just kind of was like, oh yeah, But there was a kid in my theater who legit yelled out "Yes!" when he saw it. I mean, that kid was all for it. So I know this is going to get over with the young Sonic fans.
That's the next character. That's the last one. Like there's 3 cool characters. It's Sonic, Knuckles, and Shadow. And so they did it. Yeah, that's going to be great.
I'll agree.
Looking forward to that.
And Sonic's interesting because the original Sonic games came out when we were young, young kids.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of grown up with it. I was looking at Sonic the Hedgehog game releases, and there's supposed to be, a new, I guess, mainline, one of the 3D platformer games coming out this year in 2022. But the last one that came out was back in 2017 of kind of the mainline games. There was a spin-off.
The one where you got to make your own Sonic?
Let's see, the last one was, I'll tell you, it was Sonic Forces. Came out in
I forgot that there was one where you could make your own Sonic game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looked pretty terrible. I mean, I'm a make my own character guy, but that looked pretty uninspired.
I don't even see Sonic Forces. There was a Sonic and Mario Olympic Games spinoff that came out in 2020.
Yeah, they keep doing those. They're supposed to be pretty fun. Sonic's dope. I liked a lot of the call-outs. I keep forgetting that the city they live in is called like Green Hills or whatever, which is funny. Because that's a Sonic reference. And then when he's calling his dad, and his dad's ringtone for him is the Sonic theme song, it's pretty funny. There's a couple moments like that. I don't know what else to say about this. It was
right. Yeah. I'm not looking for like an in-depth dissection by any means, but I was just, there were so many things around it because like I was saying, that last game came out in 2017. Yeah. I'm in this theater where there's some kids that are pumped and they had to be, 8, 9. So I'm like, okay.
Younger kids like retro games, man.
I guess so. I'm like, I guess these games are still getting in front of kids. These kids are still growing up playing Sonic games. It's not too old for them. I guess that's what when I started thinking about, like, oh, that kid would have been 3 when the last game came out. Like, oh, okay.
My teenage cousin's obsessed with Mega Man. Like one of his favorite games came out when I was like 8. Mega Man X, and like, I think it's a whole. I think that kids are into the older games. Honestly, that'd be a good one. Mega Man would be a good new franchise.
Well, obviously, it's a matter of time before they're announcing Sonic 3, which will probably be out in 2024 if they're able to turn it around as fast as they did this one, and made good money. But that gets into the overall topic of the video game movie, which, or I shouldn't even say video game movies because there's so many. Obviously, there's a Halo TV show that's on right now, so it's video game adaptations, I guess is the way to put it, and. I'm not breaking new ground here by saying that video game adaptations tend to have a pretty negative connotation with them because the overwhelming majority of them have been pretty bad. Looking at you, Doom, the movie. But
I was going to call out Uwe Boll and Postal.
Speaking of Uwe Boll, I made a list of a bunch of video game movies, and I didn't even put any of his on there because he did so many.
He did them bad on purpose.
Yes, that's correct.
For anyone who doesn't know, he's German, right? It was a German like film program that he was exploiting.
I think that's right.
So something like that. There's some European country. There was some sort of initiative to try and make their cinema better. And so, like, people were being offered these government grants to make movies. So he bought up every video game IP he could and turned out garbage movie after garbage movie after garbage movie and made a mint by taking advantage of a government program. So
that's about it. Yeah, you nailed it.
What a dickhead.
Yeah, he also challenged people to come fist fight him. Anyone that wanted to talk bad about his movies or talk bad about him.
Hey, you know what, Bull? I'll come fight you.
He actually did fist fight fans.
Yeah.
You could Google it.
I'll fight him.
Check it out on your Google machine.
I'm always challenging celebrities to fights. So, here,
I can't wait.
for one of them to say yes, and I have to drag my tubby ass into a ring.
It's gonna be the moment that you're waiting for on the stream, that big moment of exposure. That's gonna be the one.
When someone finally answers the challenge to fight.
When you just get your ass beat by Uwe Boll in the middle of an octagon.
Oh, he'd probably kick my ass. I'm very out of shape.
I'd bet on you, Jahan. I mean, you got some strength in those
I do.
cannons,
Like,
man.
in my prime, I could probably fight him, but I'm a tubby piece of shit these days. I'm all processed sugar and no movement these days.
Here.
Government's gonna come and take my foot.
There was a recent interview with one of the main producers on these Sonic movies it's on a podcast called The Town, that you can listen to. It was actually really interesting, but they kind of got a lot, spoke a lot about big franchises and things like that. But I think that what we're seeing, and again, bringing back the Fantastic Beasts comparison, is that, obviously Hollywood is all about IP now, and anything they can get their hands on as far as franchises and things that they can develop into 3, 4, 5, 6 movies that are going to make, billions of dollars down the line. That's the goal. And
if any Hollywood producers are out there listening, start buying up tabletop game IPs. There are already writers who have written adventures. There are already whole worlds fleshed out. Yep. Instead of buying books, buy tabletop things. You've already bought the comics. It's the next step.
Be the change.
Because there is a Dungeons and Dragons movie that's in development, but to your point, there's so many more tabletop games that people overlook. I mean, that community is thriving with every game.
Like Vampire is getting a TV show, but there are so many more. There's so many that would make good Netflix or Hulu shows.
Wonderful lore. It would be great. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree 1,000%. What are some of the ones you'd want to see, Gary?
I know this is cheesy because we're playing it, but Wild Sea. I think Wild Sea would make a great Netflix show.
Yeah.
Which that one is the whole world is taken over by these giant iron trees. It's thousands of years in the future.
Don't base it off our game, though.
There are sentient colonies of bug people who can talk and are bipedal. They're jellyfish folk. They're regular humans. They're rock folk and golems and ghosts. And you sail across the top of these trees on giant saw prod ships. So I think that would just be a cool universe.
It would translate very well into a visual medium. Yeah, it's we're always talking about how it reminds us of Miyazaki. So it'd be good.
Another one, I think Deadlands would be a good one.
Deadlands would be cool, bro. That's a great example because that one has deep lore.
And I think you could do a Deadlands HBO show.
Yes. No, I mean, because it's got undead gunslingers. It's got
weird
West magic. It has urban. I don't know. There's a lot of TTRPGs.
Tremors, magic, machine guns, you name it.
Mormons,
yeah. It's got Mormons and helicopters in the Wild West.
Those Mormons and their Wild West helicopters.
Anyways.
I actually didn't mind the tangent because it's relevant. It could be a real thing, right? They've tapped the well on pretty much everything they can regarding movies and TV shows and digging into the past. I mean, heck, they just announced a Wonder Twins movie or show or something for HBO Max. I mean, they're grabbing anything they can, and so video games it has been kind of unsuccessfully explored in the past because there have just been so many bad adaptations, because I think that a lot of these filmmakers just don't really understand.
They don't respect
the core of these games, what makes them good. And they'll eventually tap out of all these video games that they can, and they'll move on to the next thing, and maybe tabletop games are that thing. Who knows? But
they already did Battleship.
I mean,
Good
board
Lord.
games, they've done that. They'll grab anything. So it's just interesting. But I was looking at, even in the past couple of years, or past 3 to 4 years, some of these movies based off of video games that have come out that you don't even realize it. Like, Jahan, you and I talked about Werewolves Within, on the show before, and that was based off a game. We saw the Resident Evil reboot movie, which, of course, that's probably the most successful of the video game franchise, or
possibly.
I should say video games into franchises. Like, how many Resident Evil movies were there? A ton.
5.
That made decent amounts of money. Now they've rebooted it. We haven't got a reboot of Mortal
And they're making
Kombat
a show. They're making a
year.
live-action Resident Evil show, I believe, as well.
Mm-hmm. And they had the anime, and then we had the Arcane show that was League of Legends based, that was on Netflix. You had Uncharted, just came out this year.
Don't forget that Dota show that's also on Netflix.
That's true.
They started a Dota show and a League of Legends show at the same time, which is, if you're a gamer, those are kind of the two games. You either play League or you play Dota. You're either a League guy or a Dota guy. There's not a lot of bleed over. And so for Netflix to make both shows at the same time come out, I thought was really funny. Netflix doesn't care about your game war. They don't care at all. They make money no matter what.
I'm a Heroes of the Storm guy, actually.
Oh, there you go.
I think it was 2018. We got Rampage
Oh.
and Tomb Raider reboot. We got Detective Pikachu in 2019.
Detective Pikachu was really good.
That's probably one of the best ones.
It was
I
really
completely agree. I had to stop and hold my finger up. I would like to see more of that live action Pokemon world.
They did such a good job, man. Like, the Pokemon felt like they were there. It was the closest we've ever been to true happiness.
I don't care if it's more Detective Pikachu. I just want to see more of that setting, whatever it is.
Yes.
Give me another taste, please.
I agree, and I mean that was obviously a good way to go. You attach a big star to it because you had Ryan Reynolds voicing Pikachu, which I remember when that news broke originally, it was just nuts. But I mean, still, not even saying him, but like in general, do that. Like, put movie stars in a Pokemon movie and make it a live action thing in that world, and have just a weird, bizarre plot, and that works. I think that movie did pretty well, and so I'm kind of surprised that it's been a few years and we haven't heard of anything else in that world. I know there's been a pandemic between then and now too, which can halt things. But yeah, I mean, I'd go see another Pikachu, or not even another Pikachu, but another live action Pokemon world movie in a heartbeat.
You remember the fan videos that Pikachu was voiced by
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito instead of Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah,
That's what it should have been.
That is what it should have
That's
been.
what it should have been.
Oh man, it's not too late, man. Make another one.
But then you've got all these games that have been made into movies and stuff. You got Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, Need for Speed, Warcraft, Street Fighter, Hitman, Silent Hill, Max Payne, Doom, Super Mario. I mean, these are all
Quite the
things
spectrum
which
there.
you get the notoriously bad. Like, of course, the Super Mario Brothers movies, the movie that came out forever ago, is
fantastic.
notoriously bad.
It was such a good movie. I loved that movie when it came out.
Who played Max Payne in the Max Payne movie?
Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did see that piece of dog crap. I was trying to think if I saw that, and I was like, was it Mark Wahlberg?
It was.
I think that was really bad.
I remember thinking Warcraft looked cool, and then I thought that movie was practically incomprehensible. And I know there are defenders of
was
that
upsetting.
movie.
As someone who knows a lot about that lore, I was not very pleased with what was going on.
I like the way that Warcraft orcs look. They're my favorite orc design.
Yeah.
And so that alone was enough for me in the movie. The orcs were really cool, and a lot of the fights between the humans and the orcs, the clashes on the battleground were cool.
It had some cool
movie
stuff, but the movie was boo-boo.
Yeah, it was. I have never watched it again, and it's
No.
by no stretch of the imagination a top 10 anything list. But the orcs look cool.
Top 10 worst Warcraft adaptations.
The top
One of
10,
my-
I guess it's not even top 10 best. Oh my god.
One of my all-time favorite Gary just media reviews in general. Gary, can you tell me about your experience with the Assassin's Creed movie?
Oh man. So I was at home, I was watching movies, and I watched Garfield, the live action Garfield movie. It was really bad, but I knew it was going to be bad, but I was ready. You know what I mean? I sat through it, I watched it, and then I put on the Assassin's Creed movie as kind of a palate cleanser for the Garfield movie.
Why?
And it
Assassin's
was
Creed sucks.
so bad. I had no idea it was going to be so bad. Like, when you're in the Assassin's Creed game, you just sit in a chair. And that's how it works. The chair plugs into your brain, and it sends you to the place, the Animus, right? But in the movie, whenever you're in this giant computerized room that's like surrounded by cameras and lights with wires so you can like jump and flip all around the room, that way during the action sequences they can just cut back to the Animus room and show the actor flying around on wires. Like, what is happening? You've made it so much harder and so much worse all at the same time.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the things. Anyways, I got about 3/4 of the way through it. It was so bad I turned it off, and then I put on Garfield again as a palate cleanser and watched Garfield from beginning to end a second time, and I have no regrets.
I just love the combination of Garfield and Assassin's Creed, and I think you're only ever going to get that from Gary. Which,
Assassin's
speaking of
Creed
Garfield, did you ever see the
sucks.
sequel, A Tale of Two Kitties?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen any of those movies.
yeah.
If I have my story correct here, I love the story about the Garfield movies because, famously voiced by Bill Murray,
Mm-hmm.
Garfield. And I believe the story is the movie was presented to Bill Murray, and it was written by a man named Joel Cohen. But that's Cohen, Cohen, not Joel Cohen of the Cohen brothers, Joel and Ethan Cohen. And so I believe the story goes that he saw that Joel Cohen was involved in the movie, signed on to the movie, and then after the fact realized that it was not the Joel Cohen that he thought of the Cohen brothers, but he was already signed to this movie, so he just had to do it at that point. I don't know if that story is true.
I've heard that he was misled into being in that movie. I've also heard that.
I mean, watching that movie, it's really easy to see. I know that Bill Murray's not really known for his, coming on the scene and giving the most effort. He doesn't exert a whole lot of effort when he does anything. He really isn't exerting a lot of effort with the Garfield voice. He's not trying at all. He cashed out.
Wikipedia says, according to Murray's Reddit AMA, he was interested in voicing the titular character because he mistook the screenplay writer's name, Joel Cohen, for Joel Cohen of the Cohen brothers. He accepted the role, briefly skimming through the script, but the co-writer has disputed his claims, saying that basically that it was horse shit. Now, I don't know, but it's a funny story. Anyway, I'm glad that we managed to go on a Garfield tangent during a video game movies discussion.
Well, so we ended up going on an Assassin's Creed tangent, and that's a video game movie.
True. So I guess that brings up the question. We obviously had good things to say about Detective Pikachu, but of all the video game media that you can think of, what are your favorites? Do y'all have any favorites from? It doesn't even have to be one of the ones I've said. If there's one you can think of.
When you told me that we were going to talk about video game movies, there was only one I could think about. I hit writer's block. I hit a wall. I thought of one, and I was like, well, I guess that's it. There is only one video game movie. And after this conversation... Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I know.
Double Dragon.
Yeah, Double Dragon. I knew what you were going to say, Gary.
Yeah, that's the best one.
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
That's it. you don't really. I didn't mean to stop thinking. You know what I mean? I could have prepared more for this conversation, but why bother when Double Dragon exists?
Which I think I've seen when we were kids at your house. I think you made me watch that movie one time.
Yeah.
I think it's the only time I've seen it, still to date. But I think I watched it at
The
your
movie
house.
rocks, bro.
Back when that Netflix Xbox app still worked and you could log in and go sit down in a movie theater with a friend, Jahan and I watched Double Dragon together one night. We watched the whole thing on Netflix in a video
Man,
game
they got
movie
rid of that
theater.
digital movie theater. That's a bummer.
We were both on our headsets talking the whole time.
That has to have been relatively recent then. I mean, well, I say that, like, within the past 10 years.
Well, that was when you
recent,
and I
but
were living together, Drew. It was when we were in that apartment on South Mason.
that would have been around 2013 or 2014, around that time. So there you go.
Yep, that's exactly right. And yeah, that was Jahan, I think, had already seen Double Dragon in the past, and of course I had seen it a number of times, and it's just something else. It
It's
really
so
is.
good.
I don't know if good's the word, but it's definitely in its own category.
I got quite a few. I feel like I like a lot of them. Resident Evil 1 through 3, I'll actually, those, I think they're pretty good. The first one's dope. Second one, probably my favorite. Third one, even though it's completely off the rails and so far from anything resembling the video game, it's still a good movie. I think it's probably, like, action movie-wise, Resident Evil 3 is probably the coolest. It has the right amount of graphics. The zombies look good. The fighting's cool. I kind of like the apocalypse angle. I also like the Mortal Kombat movies. The first one's dope. I don't care what anyone says. The second one is not good, but I will watch it again and again because it is entertaining. And there's some cool stuff in it. The new Mortal
the one that came out last year?
That's the third one.
Yeah. Did you like that one?
Yes. More or less. So, the main character, stupid. Why are you going to add an original character? Like, what are you doing? That's exactly where Resident Evil went wrong. They added an original character so they could do their own story. But when Kung Lao... So I knew what to expect, right? We're watching this. This is when my family, my aunt and uncle's house flooded, and they were living with us for 6 months with their son. And we were having one of our movie nights, and we put this on. And when Kung Lao... I was waiting for it, man. When Kung Lao surfboards that flying creature into his buzzsaw hat, and my entire family went, "Oh!" Like, that was awesome. It was everything I ever wanted. I thought that it was actually pretty decent.
You never cease to surprise me with these, because, like, I just love the idea of you having a family movie night and the newest Mortal Kombat being your, like, the movie that everybody gathers.
My family's weird, bro.
Watch.
I think it's so cool that some people have families.
My family's interesting, man. They like to watch, like, they're... I don't know, man. They're like really into the show Lucifer, and like they watch it with my cousin. I don't know, man. Like,
I'm pretty sure if I'd even asked my wife to watch the newest Mortal Kombat movie with me, she would have laughed in my face.
My mom
that was one I watched
seen,
on my own.
My mom's seen every episode of Attack on Titan to date. So,
So my wife and I watched the Mortal Kombat movie the day it came out. We couldn't wait to see it. They could have done better.
Yeah. They have but Kano, oh my god, Kano.
Kano stole the show.
The show.
I think that movie wasn't completely dog poo on the bottom of your shoe. It was like, maybe if you give these guys another chance, they could make a sequel. Just let them have some time and some money. They're almost onto something.
I thought it was perfectly watchable.
As far as I know, the plan is for them to make a sequel. I know the kind of the online consensus, like the Twitter hives, were, basically making fun of the fact that it's called Mortal Kombat, and they talk about the Mortal Kombat tournament, and of course the one thing that's not in the movie is the Mortal Kombat tournament. It's all the lead up to it.
Yeah.
So if they do a sequel that actually has Mortal Kombat in it, I think that would be super fun. But I agree, there were some fun kills in it. It was fun to watch.
Those fans were probably the same fans that complained when Book of Boba had Mandalorian in it. It's not named the right thing. That's the wrong guy. They didn't even do the thing.
They were just mad that Bryce Dallas Howard did the best episode of that show. But yeah, no, man, there's a lot of good ones. I actually, man, like, it's not good by any stretch of the imagination, but the Super Mario's brother, I'll watch it again right now. I thought it was dope. Like, when I was a kid, man, I was like, whoa. Because, like, to me, right, they reimagined it in such a cool way. I don't know, man. Like, it was, I love the Goombas. They're all big. You remember? They were, like, gigantic, and they had the little heads.
I remember. I think we all remember, but the only one who thinks it was good around here is you.
I thought it was dope. And then obviously Detective Pikachu, we already said, fantastic. Hitman was not good.
Detective Pikachu's up there for me. I know, I actually have a soft spot for the 2018 Tomb Raider movie that came out with Alicia Vikander. I think it didn't get that much noise around it. It's not like amazing by any means, but it's totally serviceable, and she's good in it for like an origin reboot. They're supposed to make a second one, but I think it's just been stuck. But
I think I could make a really good Hitman movie. I just decided it right now. So the thing with the Hitman movie is it doesn't really need the plot, and Agent 47 doesn't need to talk. What needs to happen is there needs to be like a camera drone flyover of like a huge mafioso estate, like this giant Italian estate. And you see all these different things like a flower delivery, and you see like, a car in the back taking a body away. They were doing like a wake or something. And then the movie is just an hour and 45 minutes of the hitman. He goes in, he does a route, he kills the guy, and then it snaps back, and the hitman's back outside, and he does a whole different route, and he goes in different costumes, kills the guys. Because that's the thing about the Hitman game that's so cool, is the replayability of the level, all the different things you can do, how you can interact with the same NPCs in different ways. It's not about how great the plot is. No one's playing Hitman games because the dossiers are so great. They're playing to figure out all the different cool ways you can interact. That's what the movie should be.
And I think that's why Hitman might lend itself to being a good, Netflix series or something of that sort, because that's even how the games work. The games have adapted where they do a bunch of, 7 or 8 big sandbox levels where there's a ton of objectives you can accomplish. So you can do it one way, go back and replay it and do it a completely different way. And those games are actually really great. And if they did a show that way where it's like almost like not an anthology series necessarily, there could be a continuous plot, but like change the setting for every episode.
Nah, they need to do it. They need to do it Bandersnatch style.
Do it what style?
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch style.
Did you guys not do the Bandersnatch? You guys didn't do Bandersnatch? Bandersnatch is Netflix Black Mirror Choose Your Own Adventure show.
Oh, I remember this. I never watched it, but I know of it.
Dude, it was awesome. It was really cool, man. It was because I've always loved Choose Your Own Adventure stuff. I think that Hitman would be great. There's also one with Bear Grylls that's stupid, but
are you on the edge of your seat waiting for the one with The New Day and The Undertaker?
I don't know what that is.
It's The Undertaker from WWE, and it's The New Day, and they're trying to escape and not get killed and tracked down and haunted by The Undertaker in like a haunted house.
Oh, that's dope.
It sounds like he's making it up. It's real.
No. I think I've actually heard of this one too. I'd watch that. Me and Jenny like sitting down and doing it. Man, it's fun to do with like your spouse. It's fun to sit down and like choose your own. I don't know, man. Like Bandersnatch is crazy. Bandersnatch has a hilarious amount of options, and like there's no way you could watch every ending, like in a lifetime or something. It's ridiculous. But no, I think Hitman would be really cool like that.
Yeah, there's so many that have potential. Well, and let me talking about potential.
Essence of the game. That's what Jahan was saying earlier. Is people who are making the movie may not understand the essence of the game of the movie they're making.
Yeah.
Hitman, the essence of the game, is doing the same level a different way. That's the essence of the game. It doesn't matter all the cool one-liners he has or what actor you get to play him if you're doing it wrong.
You know what movie on this list we haven't given enough love to? Street Fighter. Movie
I think that we've given it the appropriate amount of love.
The movie rules, man.
Which is none.
Well, now that you've brought up Street Fighter, some of those Street Fighter animes were actually really dope. Some of the ones that came out in the early and mid 90s, they were actually pretty hot fire.
Yeah. What else is on your list, Drew? You got any other? Because I'm trying to draw a blank on.
What I was going to transition to was just what's coming up. Obviously we spoke about Halo in depth, which is still ongoing. Which, to be honest, I haven't caught the last 2 episodes. I watched the first 2. I do plan to catch up with it, but I've just been busy and it hasn't been a priority. So maybe that tells you enough about it. Because whereas the other shows, Moon Knight and Winning Time, I'm still watching and I'm up to date on those. But Halo's the
I don't know if I can do it, man. Like, it's the same. Like, I also tried to watch Monster Hunter for this discussion because
I forgot to put that on the list. But
I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan. I pulled it up. I found where to watch it. I pulled it up, and I was like, I can't do it, man. I just can't do it. It looks so bad. Like, I don't know why.
Like, I've been wanting to watch it, and I almost went to a theater to see it. But I think the same thing gonna happen is what you said. Like, I would be about to see it, like I'm gonna go get in my car and go see it, and I'd get to my car door and be like, nah, I can't bring myself to do this. I'd kind of rather do anything else right now.
No, I just couldn't. I was like, I don't have time to waste on watching this piece of shit. Like,
I watched. I was into the 3rd season or the 3rd episode of the Halo show, and maybe about 25 minutes in, the episode switched from Master Chief to the girl with the bad haircut and the black guy in the space station, and it was like, hey, what are they up to? And I was like, I don't give a damn, and turned it off and haven't turned it back on. Like, when he left her there, that was a good way for them to write her out of the story. Not to give me 2 places to have stories. I don't care. I want to see Master Chief shooting aliens. I don't care about the Asian girl with the bad haircut. I saw a trailer for the 4th episode, and it looks like they're still not really on the ring yet, so don't care. I'll be back and check it out on episode 5.
I feel like IGN has been giving the episodes, they've been doing individual reviews for the episodes and rating them relatively high. But I mean, it's IGN, it's a video game website. I feel like everywhere else in the film and TV world, it has either been completely ignored or not reviewed very positively. So, I mean, I think that goes to show you where we're at. I'm sure there are Halo enthusiasts that are finding things to like about it. Heck, I defended it when we talked about it, but I haven't gone back to it.
First 2 episodes were okay, man, but like, it's just not. Yeah. I don't have it, man. I'm not a Halo fan, and I just
my favorite character in the Halo series has always been that Asian girl with a bad haircut.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that they're spending so much time focusing on her.
because
she's in the game. In fact, she's the essence of the game. So it's really good that they're spending so much time focusing on her. They've got it. Whoever's making that show understands the essence of the game.
Yeah, I think that Halo is just about, I mean, really, it's about 15 years too late. But I was going to say 10 years too late as far as the series goes. Like, I feel like if this came out 10 years ago, before we had all of the prestige TV that we had now, I mean, this show's coming out the day after new episodes of Moon Knight drop. You get Halo, but you get Winning Time, and you've got all these other shows dropping on Hulu right now, you know, The Dropout and Super Pumped and all these different things that are out you could be watching. Apple TV's got a ton of shows. There's just so much to watch, and Halo's gonna draw the short straw, basically. But if it had come out 10 years ago before we had so many options, we probably would have thought it was really good. But, you know, that is what it is. But, you know, coming up, I was surprised to see, but it makes sense, the Borderlands movie is supposed to come out this year. It's slated for 2022, but doesn't have a specific release date yet. But we haven't seen a trailer. We haven't seen anything other than character silhouettes. If you remember, they dropped a bunch of posters last year, of characters, but we haven't seen anything more than that. It has a pretty big cast of notable names.
There are just some things that are so dumb to me about transitions like this. Like you said, it has big names. Jack Black, of course, is voicing Claptrap, which that actor, the voice actor, has been voicing Claptrap in every single game since the dawn of Borderlands games. Why replace him with Jack Black? He literally is the voice of the character. He's not dead. He's still alive. He's still playing Claptrap in every single game. I get it if for some of the big characters that have faces, you want to put stars on. But for a character who's just a voice of a robot anyways, that's kind of a dick move. This should have been his chance to be, in a Hollywood movie for the voice of the character.
Is he not going to be?
No, Jack Black is doing it instead.
Instead of who?
Instead of whoever actually voiced his Claptrap.
Oh.
Yeah, this movie has Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Jamie Lee Curtis, Haley Bennett, Edgar Ramirez, Gina Gershon's in this as Mad Moxie. I mean, it's a big cast. I mean, it's directed by Eli Roth, which he has a very have very mixed feelings for a lot of his films. So I mean,
that's gonna be a whole piece.
I'm intrigued. I remember Kevin Hart's casting as Roland was controversial just because Roland is like the big, the soldier character, and then Kevin Hart is Kevin Hart, and obviously doesn't fit that typical bill.
I think Borderlands is garbage.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you've been on the record as not liking that game anyway.
Yeah, I think it's garbage. I don't know what I mean, that game is, it's just like a fart soundboard that someone's dragging their face across.
It's like a shock jock radio DJ got turned into a cel-shaded first-person
It is. It's exactly what it is. It's garbage, and it's not. And it's not the best part about it is that that's just the humor and the story. It's trash, but the gameplay is also garbage.
I do respectfully disagree there.
I like trash.
I like looter shooters and I like slashers and beat 'em ups and stuff like that. So. It does appeal to me.
It's just a drag your face across your controller until all your items are orange, and then you can unplug your Xbox and throw it into the sun. I don't know. It's garbage. I don't like it.
Transitioning from interesting movie casts, it's slated for this year, December 21st of this year is when we're supposed to get the animated Mario film is coming out this year. That's developed by Illumination, which is the group that did Despicable Me and Minions and Secret Life of Pets and Sing. They're doing this animated Mario movie, and there's enough out there of people debating and speaking about this cast list. Of course, you got Chris Pratt as Mario, Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, Charlie Day as Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. I mean, it's interesting. I have no idea what this is going to look like. I mean, well, let me take it back. I can guess what it's going to look like. It's going to look like Mario in animated form. But I don't know how this movie... what they're doing with it. I have no idea.
So we are obviously not the target demographic for that, right? It's going to be shooting for the same people that go to see Sonic. It's that same age base. So it's
the age base that's not on Twitter, because the people on Twitter are the old guys like us that grew up with Mario that are shaking their fist at the world going, why are you doing this to the game that I love and grew up with?
I mean, it seems like terrible casting all around. I bet it's going to be awful, and I bet little kids are going to love it and to make a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's being directed by the guys who co-wrote and kind of developed, created the Teen Titans Go series. So these are the guys
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Teen Titans Go is an annoying series.
Yeah, Teen Titans, the original, was great. Teen Titans Go was... It had a different target demographic, also.
It's annoying. If you keep it on all day, you're going to have to turn it off.
It has some really messed up parts, too.
I like superheroes. I like cartoons. And I've watched a lot of Teen Titans Go, actually. It's just not very good. Almost all of the other kids' superhero shows are better.
I heard that the Teen Titans Go to the movie that came out was actually pretty good, but I never saw it.
I also did not see it.
All I know is that in one episode they go back in time and murder Batman's parents so that he becomes Batman. That's all I know. It's pretty funny.
Sounds creative. Sounds funny.
Yeah, they ran it that way. They're like, and then they come out and like Bruce is sad and Robin's like, yeah, like he murdered them. It's really funny.
But I just think it's interesting, we're already midway through April of this year. So Borderlands and Super Mario is supposed to come out this year. We haven't really seen much from those. So I'll be interested to see, for all we know, like I say this and then tomorrow, or, not tomorrow, tomorrow's Easter when we're recording, but sometime this week they might say, here's the release date for Borderlands in a trailer. Like it might happen. I don't know.
You, Jahan, you're the man. You rock.
Why?
That's it. I just felt like I had to tell you.
I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, bro.
Thanks, man.
Some other upcoming series. You've got The Last of Us that HBO's developing, which I thought was supposed to be coming out this year, but apparently they're still in production. It's not supposed to come out till 2023.
So that's a show that will translate. I think that show will translate really well with HBO's production and their crew. I think Last of Us will be great.
Yeah, actually, that would be a good one.
Yep.
Seems like it has competent minds behind it. People like Neil Druckmann, who's one of the directors of some of those games. He's heavily involved in, I think, directing episodes of the show. And so, the people that helped create this game are being so involved in the show, I think will help. And then Pedro Pascal is just,
can do almost no wrong.
I mean, really, it feels that way. He's in the new Nick Cage movie that's coming out in a couple weeks.
That looks good. But no amount of Pedro Pascal could save that Wonder Woman movie.
The thing about Last of Us is, as far as making it into a series, the game is really cinematic, and it's a horror game. So it already is almost this horror adventure that you just have to follow along with. And the game is hugely story-driven.
Yeah.
And so making a story on it is easy to do. I know Jahan said he's not a huge fan of Borderlands, but he's right about the gameplay. You smash your face on a controller, you run forward, and you kill stuff till you have all orange gear. That doesn't translate into a movie.
No.
It's not going to be good.
Exactly.
It's and Kevin Hart cracking jokes isn't Borderlands, and Jack Black being a little robot isn't Borderlands. Borderlands is running around mindlessly shooting stuff till you can get orange gear. Last of Us will be a great show, and good for them for picking that up.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was going to say is, I think the key here is, like, that game has story. It has story content. It has good lore. It translates to a story-based medium very well. And it's just, I don't know.
That's another reason I think Mario is going to be so bad, because the Mario games are classically save the princess from the castle. And with all of that cast of characters, there's going to be a bunch of dialogue that basically it does not need to be there. There's going to be a bunch of all of these celebrities making cameos and making stupid flat jokes for kids, which is fine. It's a kid target movie, but that's going to be where it falls flat. That's not Mario. Mario isn't Chris Pratt and Charlie Day screaming at each other making jokes. That's not it. It's never happened in Mario. It's not what that game is.
Yeah, the only Jack Black video game that I want to see as a movie is Brutal Legend.
Like, Donkey Kong doesn't even talk. You know what I mean? And now Jack Black's gonna voice Donkey Kong.
No. Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong. Jack Black
Rogen
is Bowser.
Yeah, like, Donkey Kong
That's
doesn't
pretty
need
good,
to talk.
Thanks.
He doesn't need to. He could just like he does in the games. That's all he needs to do.
Pretty good too, man. Y'all are doing some killer Seth Rogen and Donkey Kong impressions. Yeah, and going back to The Last of Us for a second, like I really liked the first Last of Us, and I loved The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 for me as a story. From as far as video game storylines go, is probably top 5 all time for me. I liked it that much. It's the most emotionally impacted I've probably been by a video game ever. So I actually really love those games. But that being said, with that series, I'm open to them taking some liberties with it. I don't want to just watch. I've played those games.
Yeah.
And to your point, Gary, they're so story based, and they follow a semi-linear path. So I'm open to exploring that world and seeing, even though you have Joel and Ellie here as your main characters, as the same as in the game, I'm happy to see them do some different things that aren't in the game, take some liberties with the story and let me see some new things. I'm open to that. So I'm very interested and intrigued. I think when they announced it, as the same with any other video game adaptation, I'm like, oh, yep, this is just the next one. But as time has gone on and with the casting they've done and the people involved, I do actually have somewhat high of expectations, which is rare to say for a video game adaptation.
Yeah, I think there are different things to look for when you're looking at a video game adaptation. Almost any game that's multiplayer, if they're making a video game adaptation, it's probably going to suck. Because the point of multiplayer games is to play with other people. So you've almost lost it the second that you start making a movie of it. It's why Halo's always going to fall flat, because you're never going to see Spartans fighting each other in Blood Gulch. And that's what Halo fans remember. You're not going to see Red and Blue team on the beach at Zanzibar, in the giant windmill. That's not what's going to happen. Instead, you're getting Master Chief's story that no one really gives a hot damn about.
Well, and then you've got a few other things I had on the upcoming list, and some of these are things that have just been announced, or like just recently. I think within the past few weeks, they announced Amazon Prime would be doing a God of War show. So that's in early, pre-production. But that again is a story-based game like Last of Us. And I think one of the things that's interesting with these Sony properties is Sony has created like a PlayStation brand of entertainment. They're trying to transition some of these games into entertainment. So, we'll see. We'll see with that.
Jack and Dexter.
There's another Amazon Prime series that they're doing a Fallout show, and I think Walton Goggins is supposed to be.
Yes, Walter Goggins is playing a ghoul in a Fallout television show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another one I think is gonna fall flat.
Probably, but I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I want to
see Walton Goggins as a ghoul. I'm gonna see that. I'll turn it on, and that show's gonna get watched at least for those scenes. But Fallout, the whole thing with Fallout is making your own decisions across the wasteland. It's collecting stuff, and it's sort of being abandoned and alone. And so when you make a show and you start making an ensemble cast, you're already doing it wrong. It's the show. The show should be about how you can affect the wasteland, not about this guy's story and his ensemble cast.
I feel like those games have enough of a story. And they definitely have enough lore.
They do.
They definitely have enough lore.
They have a cool aesthetic, especially if they go with the New Vegas setting. I think New Vegas is really cool.
I also think New Vegas would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Although the Fallout 3 DC waste would be dope too.
I don't think that Fallout is a flat no for a series. I just think that it's a weird one. It's
a lot of
pitfalls. Definitely a weird one. But I guess if Fallout's almost, it's just a Western. It's just an apocalyptic Western, so it can be done right. Drew, did you say they picked a lead for that yet?
I don't believe so.
I want it to be Idris Elba. Can it be Idris Elba?
I'd watch that.
He would be an inspired choice. I mean, sure. Why not? Why not? Although he's busy as Knuckles right now in the video game world. So
That's all right.
real
He could
busy.
do Knuckles.
Real busy.
He could do Knuckles from home, I think.
I'm sure he's doing all the mocap and everything for Knuckles. Right?
Yeah, right.
That would be hilarious to watch.
He did do all the mocap in Lion King.
Cool.
Is he in? No, wait. Is he in Lion King? No, he's in Jungle Book.
Gary's shaking his head.
I mean, you laugh, but a lot of those actors did weird motion cap work for those animals in the Lion King movie. Oh yeah, there's weird videos of them on that set. It's strange. That's a whole other wormhole. The other thing I wanted to announce is it was back in. I can't believe it was this recent because it seems like it was forever ago. Allegedly, it was in December of 2020 when Oscar Isaac was cast as Solid Snake in a Metal Gear movie. And Jordan Vogt Roberts has been attached to direct that movie since like 2014. And he has been steadily producing updates and things for it. But there's been scripts going around since 2017, 2018. You've got an actor attached to it, but I have no idea if this movie's ever going to see the light of day.
It sounds like it's not. But, I mean, those games do have the story to be a good movie. I think. I like Metal Gear.
I do too. I actually like the Metal Gear games a fair amount, and yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see those. Those are the ones I had listed for upcoming. There's a lot more if you just try to research upcoming video game adaptations, but so many of them are just things that have been optioned or thrown around or in development hell. I listed the ones that seem like they're really happening and have some traction. There's some that I forgot to even list. Like they made an animated Ratchet and Clank movie that came out like that, and that one came and went with a whimper. Like I don't think people even know it exists. I watched it. It's a thing. It's real, but there's nothing very notable about it.
Should have gone with Jack and Daxter, man. I'm telling you.
So last question for y'all before we wrap. What video games, you kind of went into the tabletop games, so I won't go there, but of video games, is there anything you can think of that we haven't mentioned that has untapped potential that could be good?
Gears of War, I think, would be a better movie, like either trilogy or maybe just a sequels. I think it would be better to watch than it was to play.
Aren't they doing something?
I don't know.
That was one that was in the list that I was like, but there's been no news about that. I remember Batista pretty much campaigning to be.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Batista.
And they put him in Gears 5 as a skin.
Yep. I would love to see Gears. I would love to see, big ass dudes with machine guns chopping up aliens with chainsaw guns. They're kind of like zombies. They're kind of like aliens. They're nice in between. And it's just an action show, but of course they would probably put it on Peacock and make it a bunch of people talking in a dark room and have like 10 minutes every 2 episodes of combat. So who knows? I think Gears of War has the potential, though. It's got the lore, it's got the action, and it doesn't necessarily need the best cast of actors.
Yeah, I think Left 4 Dead would make really good ones. They're already broken up into those like chapters, and like you watch them do this escape to this escape to this escape to this escape to get out.
Are you a fan of zombies?
Me?
Do you like zombies?
Sometimes I've been known to dabble a little bit in the zombies, but yes, true. I picked a zombie game. Surprise!
There's this game that just came out that's really cool. It's called Lego Star Wars.
Okay.
And in it, you're these little Legos, but they have these
hold
laser
on.
swords called lightsabers.
Are they like the same Legos from the Lego movie?
Yeah. But these ones have laser swords, and they can push stuff with their minds. And I feel like that's a really good idea for a movie. They should make a Lego Star Wars movie, but with real people. They should. That would probably be good.
Would be good. I'd watch that.
Yeah, Disney. Here, y'all should buy that property.
They also have another Legos games where you're like carrying jewelry to like some sort of tropical destination, some sort of like magma area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sounds fun.
I'm trying to think of any other games that we haven't mentioned. Like, what's
I mean, there's so many, man.
I'm just trying to think of what I've even played recently.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, I mean, they are talking about doing Elden Ring. I don't know how well that would translate. I don't even know what that would be about, honestly.
I play a lot of turn-based RPGs, and of course, they've tried with Final Fantasy before. I've actually never seen that movie, the Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
It's
that
okay.
Came out forever ago.
It's not
Spirits
great.
Within has like nothing to do with Final Fantasy. The other one, Advent Children, is Cloud and Sephiroth, and that one's pretty dope.
Oh, I've seen Advent Children. I
Okay.
liked it.
The other one I saw in theaters when it came out when I was a kid, man. And that movie, I mean, while it's totally fine and watchable, and like for the time it was really pretty, it has nothing to do with anything, as far as I know, do with Final Fantasy.
You know, I did just spend a lot of time playing Horizon, the sequel, and that's, you know, kind of a post-apocalyptic world, but where machines have taken over and you've got the machine dinosaurs. But that's just one that you get into that weird video game gray area where that just makes for such a good game because it's all about your strategy and how to take down these dinosaurs. And if they made trying to make a series of it, if the budget wasn't there and the dinosaurs or creatures didn't look good, it'd be bad from the start. So I don't know. I feel like it has potential.
A lot about those big sandbox games too. A lot of what you're doing as a gamer is you're exploring the map, and you're exploring it for the first time, and you're collecting things. Those feelings don't translate into TV. You're not exploring that world for the first time when you're watching it on TV, and when the character's collecting things or, you know, getting the achievement, you're not feeling the same way for collecting the notes when you're watching someone else do it. Yeah. So you're right. I think that's another cool world where there's definitely some cool enemies and cool combat to be had, but it seems like something that would run a season or two and then run flat.
No, you were saying turn-based, though. I think Fire Emblem could have some potential. I think those could be pretty cool. Some of the Zelda franchise maybe might do okay. I'm not sure which one I would pick.
Zelda's the one I feel like they've been trying for a bit, you know, and it's just hard because we're all used to the silent protagonist there, and as soon as you put somebody into the shoes of Link, it's like big shoes to fill in the minds of the fans who have their vision of what Link is. I think
that's just Jack Black.
Yeah, I mean, you could do something with Metroid. There's some Nintendo properties.
Oh yeah, Metroid would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, that's actually my favorite one I've heard so far. Metroid would be really cool.
I think that's a winner.
Or like, I'd rather see the Illumination movie instead of Super Mario. I'd rather see them do Star Fox because you can
Star Fox would be dope.
Voicing Fox and have these cool animals that fly starships and go on missions together. Like, that could be fun.
You can even keep that exact same cast of voice actors they have for Star Fox and just make them different characters.
Yeah, have Chris Pratt as Fox and have Charlie Day as Slippy the Toad.
Keegan-Michael Key as Pappy.
Who's going to be Falco of that group? Because Jack Black could be the evil, one of the, Star Wolf's team, that big, that could be,
yeah,
that could be Jack Black.
That could be Jack Black. I don't know who I would cast as Falco. But yeah, no, those are actually both really good picks. Metroid and Star Fox would both be dope. Sounds like Nintendo. It sounds like we seem to think that Nintendo has the grease to go forward.
Which is funny because they're probably the ones between Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Nintendo's the most protective of their characters because they're legendary. But there's potential there. But yeah, I think that's about it. Unless y'all have anything else you want to add today?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
That sounds like that's it. Thank you everyone for listening to our video game chat. If you have any video games that you would like to see turned into movies, hit us up on Twitter with the hashtag DigitizeMe. And I'm Johananon at RockFact on Twitter.
It's me, Casualty CDG, and you can find me at Casualty CDG on all of the social medias. If you like tabletop role-playing games, come see me and Jahan every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Jahan and I play tabletop role-playing games, read about them, or interview people from the tabletop role-playing space. Mostly people in the professional industry, but sometimes just the friends. Also, right now we're playing Wild Sea, we're playing Icons, and we're playing Modern Age. So we play in all sorts of things that aren't D&D. If you want to see new systems, new settings, all kinds of strange characters, we've got lots of things to inspire you. Jahan's juggling at least 3 storylines at a time, all the time. So stop by, fresh out the box. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
I am Drew Munhausen at Drew Munhausen on Twitter, and this has been episode 41 of Fresh Out the Podcast. Catch us next week where we'll be talking about all the other things that we've been watching, and we'll catch you then.
Stay fresh, everyone.
Fresh out the box. Fresh out the box. Fresh out the box.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Fresh Out the Podcast, the only podcast where you can see Drew and Gary kiss a little. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Jahananon.
Oh, that's right. Any other podcast that has me and Drew has us kissing a lot. This is the only one where we kiss a little.
It's me, Casualty CBG. I'm the co-host of Fresh Out the Box and Fresh Out the Podcast. If you have a show called Fresh Out the Anything, let me know and I'll co-host that too. I'm a retired child crimes and human trafficking detective turned tabletop titan and improv comedian. You could call me Gary.
I'm the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen, and this is episode 42 of Fresh Out the Podcast, an episode where we're going to be talking about all the things that we've been watching or playing or doing recently, and should be a pretty casual discussion. But first, I do have to say, I appreciate, Gary, your random voices and things at the top of the show that always catch me off guard, and mainly because they never seem to stem from anything. Like, it's just whatever you're feeling like doing at that time. You know, last week I made the terrible, I said my intro really fast because it was a Sonic joke. Like, that was tied to Sonic. But Gary's, you just never know what you're going to get when you're fresh out the box.
That's right. It happens too, like when I wake up and I walk out of my bedroom, and then I'm just insane. I just have a silly voice for a while, and that's like maybe the first 40 minutes of my day is like, hey, this is a good voice. Let's just mess with the dogs. Let's just make the coffee. Let's just exist in this voice for a while.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Once I finish crying and screaming, I go put on a funny voice and make coffee and get on with my day.
That's uplifting. I was going to ask, Jahan, if you had any voices or things that you do. I feel like
I do voices all the time, yeah. I did one last night for our game. Because in our TTRPG games, we have like a mechanic where viewers can name NPCs. Like, they just spend these channel points that they accrue by watching the show, and they can name characters in the world, just no reason. Someone wanted Dr. Whoopee Cushion. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks. So I made him Dr. Whoopee Cushion, and I made him German and made it work a little bit, and people seem to enjoy my German accent.
We might have to do a spin-off podcast from Fresh Out the Box where it's just you in that character.
Answering medical write-in questions.
Perfect.
Sarah from Seattle asks me, how much is too much when it comes to facial cream? I'm glad you asked, Sarah. See, I got it. I can do it.
Man, I was waiting for the answer.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. For a second, you actually, in your chair, I'm looking at you on my computer, and you actually turned into an older German doctor for a second.
It's because I'm a method actor.
This is the perfect example of podcasting while we podcast.
That's a good point. And I do voices too. I mean, I'm a game master. We do them. I'm not the best at it, but apparently, according to everyone, that makes me the best at it because mine are awful. So,
Speaking of Game Master, last week on the podcast we were talking about video games that would make good movies, and I was talking about Lego Star Wars and the characters and stuff there, and how I thought that might be a good movie. Apparently, there's like 9 Star Wars movies and 2 spin-offs and a whole animated series.
Based off of the Legos?
Yeah,
Based off of the Lego. Who knew?
They made that. That's cool.
Apparently, the first Lego Star Wars game came out in like 2005, but the first Star Wars movie was back in the late 70s. But that doesn't seem to make any sense. But isn't that crazy?
Hold on. Hold on. Let me look this up. Because it seems like you've got something wrong.
Yeah, I think you got your facts backwards there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call you good old ass backwards
Yeah.
Drew.
Okay, Drew. Lego was founded August 10th, 1932 in Denmark. So Lego did come before Star Wars.
Perfect. Okay, so they were the inspiration for the Star Wars movies that apparently have been popular enough to garner a whole franchise. Anyway, that's crazy. You learn something new every day.
Every day's a school day.
Well, anyways, we're going to casually talk about some of the stuff that we've been watching, and I have a bunch of movies that I've seen, and I was going to talk about those if you don't.
Yeah, crank them out, man.
I didn't know that you watched movies. This is news to me.
They just call me the media and movie mastermind, but I actually don't watch movies.
It's an ironic nickname. I get you.
Yeah. That's the comedy here.
Like when you call a big guy tiny.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There's humor right there if I've ever seen it.
Man, we should be writers for that new Mario movie.
Hey, little guy. Talking to Donkey Kong.
I saw a film that's been quite the buzz amongst the film community that is called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, man, I've been super stoked to see that one. I haven't yet.
It is directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who together have been known as the Daniels. So when you see it in the credits, directed by the Daniels. And this is a multiverse movie starring Michelle Yeoh, and Ke Huy Quan is in it, who he's known for playing Data in The Goonies or Short Round in Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones movie, and hasn't been in a movie in forever, and he's the male lead in this, and he's awesome. First off, I'll say that he's so good in it, and Michelle Yeoh is wonderful as well. Everybody,
she's from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
She is, and she's been around. She was just in Shang-Chi, and she's in Avatar 2 coming out this year. She's working. She's doing a lot of stuff. And this is a really great film. And let me first start off by saying my experience seeing this. It is in theaters right now. I think it's released wide, but my local Regal theater is the one that I usually go to, but the times were not good. So I actually ventured out to our local Alamo Drafthouse to see this, and it was a packed screening. It was the first time that I'd been to a packed theater in a while, because I go to so many weeknight showings of movies. Like I saw Sonic on a Thursday night, and there were some kids in there, but it was like 8 o'clock showing on a school night. But this I saw, and it was a packed theater, and boy, that was the way to see it. Like, everybody was totally into this movie, and you're at Alamo, so you're getting a lot of film fans in general.
Did they sell bagels?
They don't have bagels.
They should have had
They
bagels.
do have breakfast items on their menu, though. But this is, according to Wikipedia, the plot follows a Chinese-American woman being audited by the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, who discovers that she must connect with versions of herself from different parallel universes in order to prevent the destruction of them all by an evil entity. So that's the plot.
Hell yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Is this the plot of your modern age threefold campaign?
Yes, it is actually the plot of my modern age.
100%.
I've been running a TTRPG campaign for a few months now, which has a similar plot. But yeah, I mean, multiverses are multiverses. Honestly,
right.
It's just the plot from the one anyways, with Jelly.
He throws a motorcycle in that movie. Does
He does.
anybody throw a motorcycle in everything, everywhere?
That
all
lady
at
has a
once?
mouse in her shoe. Watch out.
Anybody does throw a motorcycle.
That's all right.
No, this movie looks
was-
fantastic, I'll say.
Yeah, and so worth noting, because this is kind of funny. Obviously, this movie is out in theaters a few weeks before the new Doctor Strange movie comes out, which is in the Multiverse of Madness and is going to be dealing with multiverses. So it's just kind of funny that this, totally independent movies come out, but it is from the production company called AGBO, which is the one that was founded by the Russo brothers, who directed obviously Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, amongst others. And they've had their production company that's done a lot of different movies that of varying levels of quality, like that Extraction movie with Chris Hemsworth that dropped on Netflix during, I think it came out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's like an action movie. They've done things like that.
It was pretty good.
But this one in particular, of the ones they've come out with so far, has been really good. And yeah, I mean, this is just one. I don't want to get too much into all the spoilers or anything, because it's so good that this is a movie people should go see. I knew that it would be fun, but even more so than I expected. Some of the different multiverses that are tapped into here, it does kind of the what you would expect in some ways, where so the main character has to tap into different versions of herself from across different universes, and one of those may be like a kung fu master or taekwondo master, and so all of a sudden she has those skills. But then there might be a world where they have hot dogs for fingers, and that's that dimension. So it gets into truly the bizarre, and it brings so much comedy and fun into this movie that is just totally out there for anybody that's tired of franchise films and wanting something new and unique. Here it is. It's out in theaters. You can go see it right now. I give it the highest recommendation. I had such a good time with this.
You know how they say science fiction becomes science fact? How many years out do you think we are until we're able to interact with multiverses?
50.
50? That's insane. That's crazy. Okay, that's all. Just a quick aside.
Multiverses in general it's such an interesting concept that has always been around in comics for a long time, and now we're finally starting to see that in these movies with Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange, and I'm happy that it's lending itself to things outside of the Marvel universe too, just because there's so many interesting things that can be done with it. But I think we owe thanks to the Marvel movies in a sense for getting mass audiences to the point where they're ready for
Where they can understand it. Yeah.
Where my 70-year-old father can go to the movies and understand what a multiverse is. I think a lot of credit is owed to Marvel for that.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
for helping broaden the
not everybody was sitting around talking about string theory like a bunch of goons before those movies came out. Some of us were.
Some of us were. No, the whole time Loki was on, I was like, oh, okay, they're using this to get people ready for this nonsense that they're about to shoot at you. Because if Spider-Man and Multiverse of Madness came out of nowhere, I don't think a broader audience would really be able to handle it. They'd be like, oh, this is dumb. They wouldn't get it. And
I think that the multiverse that we live in real life is the reality TV multiverse. I think that's what ours is compared to the rest of them.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
If the regular multiverse came here, they'd be
we've had two
God!
we've had two celebrity presidents, so yeah.
It's like everything is commercials and reality TV here. This is the worst place.
I love that in Back to the Future, where he's like, "Who's the president?" And he's like, "Ronald Reagan." He's like, "The actor? Don't be ridiculous!" It's just, it's just really funny.
Great Back to the Future line.
Looking forward to President James the Rock Johnson.
It's a good comment. So that's Everything Everywhere All at Once. Go see it. It's really good. And then another film that I watched was called The Night House. This actually just came out on HBO Max, I think last week, at the time we're recording this. And I actually bought the Blu-ray like months ago because I wanted to see it. And then it dropped on HBO Max and I still hadn't watched it yet. And I was like, well, guess I better put in the Blu-ray that I bought and watch this. And so I refused to watch it streaming since I owned it. And I watched the disc version of it. This is a horror movie starring Rebecca Hall, and basically it's about a widow who her husband just died by committing suicide, and so she's alone and of course starts having visions or feels like she's being potentially haunted or communicated with by her deceased husband. Yeah, that's the simple version of the plot. And I love Rebecca Hall. I'm like all on board the put Rebecca Hall in everything train. I think she's wonderful. But
What else is she in?
she's in what I just watched recently, The Prestige, and she's in The Town with the Ben Affleck movie that's really good. She is in, I'm trying to think what else that's like mainstream.
I'll look it up. I haven't seen either of those.
She was in Godzilla vs. Kong most recently.
Okay, I did see that. My mom's a huge Godzilla fan.
So she's around. She's been in a lot of stuff. Probably
Oh,
somebody.
she was in Iron Man 3.
She is in Iron Man 3. Just somebody who I feel like should be a bigger deal than she is. I think she's very wonderful, and she's really good in this movie. And if it wasn't for her in this movie, I think this movie probably wouldn't be very good. I really wanted to like it, and it's just, I mean, it's fine. It's just, if you're looking for a psychological horror movie to watch, I'd say put it on, but I'm not giving it my highest recommendation necessarily. It's like a solid 6 out of 10.
I liked Day House more. I thought the entire feeling of the movie was just a little bit lighter.
I liked Don House. It had a little bit of something for everyone.
Y'all are doing that thing where y'all start making jokes and keeping your straight faces about it, and all I can sit here and do is go, Good. I like you guys. I'm glad that I podcast with y'all regularly. The other thing that I've watched recently, which I believe Gary has watched as well, was a documentary. You have not watched this?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's a documentary that premiered at South by Southwest. It's now on HBO Max, and it is called Tony Hawk Until the Wheels Fall Off. And it is a documentary that looks at the career of Tony Hawk, truly from when he was a kid and learning about his family and his siblings and everything to now. And what'd you think of this, Gary?
I actually really liked it, but I grew up in like the 90s, right? And so Tony Hawk Pro Skater was like one of the best video games for me, influential at the time. I loved the music. I loved, skate shops. I thought decks were cool. I used to watch the CKY tapes and wear skate shoes. So I'm really influenced by Tony Hawk in my life, even though I wasn't a skater. I think he was kind of like a pop culture icon for me. So I went into this already liking it. Let's just start there. I was on board from the get-go. I thought it was great learning about Tony Hawk and, hearing about him through other people. He sort of is just quiet and focused. That sort of just is who he is. I always wondered if he was, what Tony Hawk was really like behind closed doors. When you see him in stuff like Jackass, he doesn't talk to the camera. He doesn't do a whole bit. He's just kind of there. He skateboards and he's gone. So to see this look inside his life and, he's just kind of is that way. That's just sort of who Tony Hawk is. It was great to see some of the other old skaters that I was used to, especially Rodney Mullen. Rodney Mullen's one of my favorite street skaters of all time. And I know he had some health issues a while back. And so to see him, he's alive and kicking. And he's not just alive and kicking. He seems like one of the chillest, coolest dudes in the world. He seems like he's really vibing on some good stuff, man. He just seems like really pleasant to be around. Cool to see the bowl competitions. Cool to see how skating changed and how he was instrumental in that change of skating. There's a lot to it. It's not just a documentary about Tony Hawk. It's also a documentary about the death of skating in the late 70s, the rebirth of skating in the late 80s, and then the death of skating in the mid 90s, and then the rebirth of skating. So it's just as much about Tony Hawk as it is about professional skating as a whole. I have nothing but great things to say about Tony Hawk until the wheels fall off. I absolutely loved it.
I'm totally with you, and I think you touched on what I thought was most interesting about it as well. Is just how by watching the history of Tony Hawk, you kind of see the history of skateboarding as well. Because, I mean, his career has kind of defined what skateboarding is as well. I don't. Maybe that's being a little bit too.
No, you're not. You're not being too big, and you're not overstating it. When skating was kind of coming to an end for the first time, it's cyclical. When it was coming to an end in the late '90s, bowl tricks were all about skating a pool and how much power you had. And could you push yourself and jump high enough to do a trick? Could you hold yourself up with your hands? And Tony Hawk's style changed that from from power tricks to speed tricks. So it changed skating from how strong you were in the bowl to could you ollie coming fast as hell up the lip of a pool. And if you could, it gave you so much more airtime that it unlocked all these new tricks that you were able to do with that much more time in the air. So Tony Hawk is professional skating. He was there when it changed, and he's been there every step of the way through the rebirths with the new tricks, with the 540 when it was the best trick you could do, with the 900 when it was the best trick you could do. Tony Hawk is skateboarding. Eats, sleeps, and breathes it.
And I think this movie, it's like I thought I knew Tony Hawk, but it's like in reality, what did I know about Tony Hawk? Well, that he's a professional skateboarder. I know that he had a son named Riley Hawk that was a professional skateboarder. I know he's got a video game franchise that's named after him. I knew that he did the 900. And like, in hindsight, it's kind of it's like really all that I knew. And so learning so much about him and his family and how, he was kind of as they said, like the accidental child. He was born, his parents were in their 40s when he was born, and he had siblings that were significantly older than him, and just
didn't get along well in team sports. He was kind of the scrawny guy and didn't really like other people as much. So they needed to find something for him to compete, and he ended up loving skateboarding. But with there being no professional competition scene, his dad founded the professional competition scene. And so not just is Tony Hawk skateboarding, his dad is skateboarding. And of course that leads to a lot of, was his dad fudging the numbers and making him win competitions? And the answer to that appears to be no.
Right. And then also, leading into the creation of the X Games, which really is what helped bring skateboarding back to light in the late 90s, I think in 99 or late 90s. But anyway, and which again, when you're looking at it as us growing up in the 90s, I remember when the Tony Hawk game came out and it was all the rage, and skate culture became a huge thing for us when we were in middle school, where all the boys wanted skate shoes and wanted to wear skate brands, and we were buying skateboards. And I tried and busted my butt a few times and said, nope, this isn't for me. But the culture was so cool.
Some kid called me a poser one time for wearing skate shoes and not skateboarding. And I was like, man, it's like walking on a cloud, man. Skate shoes are comfortable as hell. Like, don't gatekeep comfortable shoes. That's dick. That's all I got.
So obviously that's a documentary that it's kind of near and dear to me and Gary, having the nostalgia for it, but it just hit a sweet spot, and it talks about the games and all that. But yeah, so highly recommend Tony Hawk Until the Wheels Fall Off.
I really like Tony Hawk too, and I like the games. Grew up with all that stuff too, but I just didn't watch the documentary. But it's just nice that there's a hero out there that didn't, like corner actresses in a
Yeah.
hotel. You know, it's thank you, Tony Hawk, for not being a fucking monster.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
appreciate it.
not being a James Franco.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just it's so hard. It's so hard now.
And that's on HBO, right, Drew?
It is.
Okay. I was just making sure for anybody watching, wondering where to watch Tony Hawk. That one's on HBO.
And I was going to move on from it, but I just also wanted to add, if I had to complain about anything, it's a smidge too long. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I feel like it could have been cut a little bit. But the other thing I wanted to say about it that I thought was good for the documentary, just for the sake of filmmaking, is it's not all, sunshine and rainbows about Tony Hawk. Like, it does get into the end about these skaters and their mindsets and how they're old. Like, they're all in their 50s, some of these original crew, and they're all still skating, and they're all still getting hurt, and just the mindset of skaters and how they can't stop. And it did kind of leave on a, like, almost a cryptic note, which I won't say anything more about in I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that might want to watch this, but it did get into the other side of it too, of like, it's not all, skateboarding's awesome, and if you skate, you're cool. It's like, these guys have suffered a lot because of skating too.
Yeah. They had to talk about whenever he had his first kid, that was when skateboarding crashed the first time. So he was working crap jobs and barely bringing home cents. His wife was the breadwinner, and he was trying to still skateboard. And so he's breaking his ribs on the weekend, making no money, trying to raise a family and be a part of the family, and almost had to give up skateboarding a bunch of different times through his life. And it's just, when you think about that, like, you're a competitor, right? And these guys don't have insurance. It's just a guy with a skateboard. He breaks his rib, and he still needs to make ends meet. It's not all sunshine and roses. That's right.
The other thing that I watched on Netflix, I don't know if either of y'all have watched this. It's one of those kind of true crime documentary series that Netflix is popular for, and it's called Bad Vegan: Fame, Fraud, Fugitives. Have y'all heard of this by any chance?
No.
Heard of it. I've seen the cover a lot. I've read the description, and I have not clicked on it. And depending on what words you say next, maybe I will.
It's a pretty quick watch. It's 4 episodes, so it's not, like the longest series that you're devoting yourself to. But I don't watch these true crime documentaries all the time. My wife likes them a lot more than I do, but I do like to watch them on occasion, and this just happened to be one of the ones that we threw on. And it's okay. It's one of those stories you watch where there's like, similar to the Tinder swindler, right? You remember how the Tinder swindler was manipulating these women and getting money from them, and as you're watching it, you're going, why do you keep giving this guy money? Why do you keep doing these? But it puts you in the shoes of those women and really where they were coming from, so you can understand. And this is kind of a similar story in that way, where it's like, this woman is getting conned by somebody, but it gets to a point where it's like, how are you, like, I can't even sympathize with you anymore because you should have caught on to this so long ago. Because it's one of those long cons of a woman who owned a vegan restaurant and was transferring money from the restaurant to this guy who became her husband in a strange scenario. And, just the whole time you're kind of scratching your head, like, how has this person been, brainwashed or manipulated to this point? So it's one of those stories. And I would say that it was interesting. I enjoyed watching it for the most part, but it's, again, and I use this a lot when I'm reviewing these things, it's not one that I'm running down the street saying, you should watch this, but I didn't dislike my time watching it or anything. Like, it was fine. If you like these kinds of true crime documentaries that you could knock out in an afternoon if you have nothing to do and you just want to sit down and binge it, it's good for that.
It sounds like it might be 2 episodes too many, but it does sound intriguing enough.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I like a good documentary. I'm not a big fan of true crime just because, sometimes that hits a nerve. But when it's things like fraud, it's different. I think fraud is a little easier for me to watch. But also, like you said, it gets to a point where sometimes you can't sympathize with the person, and then you're just kind of like let down by humanity. You're just like, damn, people are stupid, and I don't want to. I don't know if I want to watch that either.
Yeah, it's kind of along. I mean, there's only so much of this woman's transferring money to this guy who's claiming he can give her basically like everlasting life and make her dog live forever and all these crazy bizarre things, which you have to just see it to understand the context of it. But I mean, and so she's given him all this money, and it's really just to feed his gambling addiction. Like, that's what's happening. And you're like, why would you ever give money to this guy in the first place? Yeah, it's one of those. So but that's Bad Vegan. It is on Netflix. And then the only other movies I was going to talk about, I mentioned how in the past there's been a lot of Sam Raimi talk. Ted Raimi's his brother, so it's not like I'm pulling that out of nowhere, because they write a lot of the stuff, or Ted Raimi's in a lot of Sam Raimi movies. Anyway, Sam Raimi is kind of the talk of the town because the Doctor Strange sequel's coming out in a couple weeks, and he's directing it, and it's the first movie that he has directed since 2013, when he did Oz, the Great and Powerful. So, I mean, Sam Raimi's obviously still been working, he's producing a lot of stuff, he's out there, but as far as directing stuff goes, he's been pretty quiet, and so it's exciting to see him coming back to the superhero genre. So I've been going back and rewatching Raimi movies I've seen, but also watching Raimi movies I haven't seen for the first time. So I watched, of course, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness recently, which I have seen before. It's been a while, but man, I love those movies.
Classics,
and it makes
man.
you realize why Sam Raimi became who he did, because these are just such the definitive cult classics and they hold up. I mean, I love watching these. But John, have you ever seen Darkman?
No.
Gary, have you seen Darkman?
Maybe.
So it's the Sam Raimi movie that he made between Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness back in 1990. It stars Liam Neeson, and it is the story a guy who basically becomes severely burned and everything on his face, but he's a scientist, and he had developed this machine that creates artificial skin. And so that's kind of he's like a master of disguise kind of character. This is like a 1990s old superhero movie, but it's an original from Sam Raimi.
Oh yeah, I've seen Darkman. I'm looking at these pictures. Oh yeah, I've seen Darkman maybe 2 or 3 times. This is one of those movies that used to pop up on like late night TV during cable. And so you're just like, well, I guess I'll leave this on because it's terrible. I didn't even realize this was a Sam Raimi movie, ever. I had never watched this on purpose either.
If you were to watch this again, knowing it's a Sam Raimi movie, like, all of his calling cards are there, right? Like, this is has such Sam Raimi energy throughout. I was watching, expecting this to be, I mean, it is cheesy. I mean, what kind of early Raimi movie isn't in that way? But man, it's so much fun. Like, it's just so goofy, and it's not trying to be serious. I had a great time watching this, and I think it just shocked me that, it came out in 1990, so that's 12 years before Spider-Man came out, before Raimi did Spider-Man. But there's so much DNA of the Spider-Man movies in this, where you can see Raimi's tricks and editing and things that he did later on in Spider-Man are in this movie that he did so much earlier. That is really fun to watch from that perspective. I just thought this is goofy fun. I absolutely recommend Darkman if you haven't seen it. I don't think it's streaming anywhere for free. I actually purchased it on Apple TV to watch it. But I own it now there digitally, and it's great. I'll probably rewatch it.
2 sequels.
It does. I believe they were direct to DVD or direct to video sequels. Probably pre-DVD.
The Return of Durant and Die Darkman Die.
Yeah, so anyway, I if you are interested in revisiting some Sam Raimi movies in the lead up to Doctor Strange, start with Darkman. I mean, well, actually, start with the Evil Dead movies. You can't go wrong there.
No.
But Darkman is definitely fun. A early Frances McDormand performance. She's the female lead in this, and it's just kind of funny seeing her be like the damsel in distress kind of character, because now she's known for playing such strong female character roles, and seeing back then in the 90s, it's just funny. Yeah, so that's it. And then I have some shows that I've been watching, but I've been taking up all the time, so I'll pass it on to y'all to see if there's anything you want to talk about.
Nope. No, I'm just kidding. You got anything, Gary? You can go first if you want to.
We've all been watching Moon Knight.
Yeah,
right?
we talk about Midnight.
Drew, you caught up on Moon Knight?
I am. I just watched the most recent episode, which at the time of this recording, there are 3 episodes out, I believe, and I just watched it last night.
Let's, can we talk about spoilers? Jahan, can you throw up a spoilers thing for us?
Spoiler.
This podcast will be dropping after
that's right.
4 has come out.
Yeah.
So I'd say
So
we're clear.
We're probably clear, but anyone who's listening live right now, episode 3 spoiler.
Yeah.
I didn't like episode 3. I've been on board so far. I still like Oscar Isaac's acting. I watched him go straight from being Mark to being not Mark. Just standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Mark to Steven. It looks great. Yeah. He does great acting. He did it all with his eyes. He did it all with his muscles in his face. Great work. Great actor. Still liking him. What I particularly didn't like was the way that when they went to speak to the other Egyptian gods, Ashnu acted like a child and just screamed and threw a temper tantrum the whole time, and instead of trying to explain anything, even though the entire show he's been able to talk and explain stuff just fine. And then Steven also didn't know what to say. He also just kind of acted like a dick and didn't answer their questions. And I still don't know why Mark won't tell his wife-girlfriend that Ashnu is going to use her as a vessel if he doesn't play along. It seems like there are these weird, like, narrative blockades that only make sense in the conversations because it's a TV show. And they're like, oh, it's TV show logic, not to spill the beans on this. But, like, if my wife was going to be haunted by the moon ghost, if I said no, I would let her know and be like, I'm the moon ghost man, because if I wasn't, then he would take you.
See,
like, I feel like I would reveal that to her.
I feel like the reason he doesn't is because she would accept it. She would take that burden from him, because knowing that he's doing that for her would trouble her. You know what I mean? It would bother her. It would upset her. And she would probably willingly take on the spirit in order to save the man that she loves, you know?
They could also both get on board with, okay, well, then we're not going to be servants for Ashnu. Let him go find somebody else. But since they can't have that conversation, they won't have that conversation.
Yeah, but I don't know how much of a choice they have.
Exactly. We don't know. There's just this weird TV block. There's this weird conversation that can't be had on TV that's really frustrating me between those two characters. And then, like I said, the lack of Ashnu not being able to describe to the other gods that this guy was building up an army and all of them are marked with these tattoos and he's killed, dozens of people with his powers. Instead, he was just like, he's going to bring back the God.
I do agree.
Episode 3 just really was not the best one so far.
I liked episode 3. I liked a lot of episode 3. The part that you're talking about annoyed me too, where like it was like, "Hey, I'm speaking God voice," and then like, like that was annoying. It wasn't good. It didn't translate well. It was silly. It was straight up silly. I didn't like it. And then yes, he couldn't explain anything. Like why? Come on, like grow up. I don't know. And then the other guy comes in, gets to talk. So some of it definitely seems to be that Ethan Hawke's character has some sort of something going on with that one guy in the suit. You know what I mean? Like maybe they have some back alley dealing going on. It definitely seems like he has something going on the council there. But yeah, that scene wasn't the best. I really enjoyed the sky thing. That was cool. I like that everybody saw it, potentially in the entire world. They saw the sky change. I'm wondering if that's going to have some cool tie-in with Kate Denning's character or Natalie Portman, and where they finally got to see the ancient sky, because that would be a big deal in the scientific community, to be able to see past skies like that. It could answer questions, and I just think that that's a cool thing that could happen. And yeah, I also liked him switching back and forth. I thought it was done really well, and I also really
think the switching back the stars is what a cool thing.
Yes.
And of course, the Egyptian god of the moon can do that.
Yeah, it was so cool.
That's the kind of thing that when he did it, I'm like, yeah, he could do that. That's fine. That's cool as hell. Why not, right?
That was exactly the kind of thing I want to see. Yeah. It was everything I wanted.
Dope.
And then, and I also really enjoy how Steven himself is so helplessly in love with their wife. You know what I mean? He's seen her for the first time. He's just completely in love with her. And also, I'm just a huge fan of all the brown people and, the Middle Eastern music and the culture and the language being displayed, not in a negative way. It's just nice.
Yeah, I think from a culture standpoint, it's cool. I think from a show and some of the story stuff, I'm kind of I'm in between y'all. I feel like there's a lot of cool moments in a show that's very story and lore heavy, and some of that stuff is a little bit for me okay, we gotta come to a screeching halt here so that we can exposition dump and so on. I don't know why I've watched all the episodes so far, but I'm just having trouble really getting into it. I'm enjoying it for the most part, but there are I don't know if I'm just having trouble. I don't know. I'm intrigued enough to still see where it's going. There's a lot of things about this most recent episode I liked. I liked the flip from episode 1, where you'd have Steven blacking out and then coming back to Steven, not knowing what happened in between when Mark was taking over. And I liked the change in perspective in this episode of Mark being in the middle of combat and fighting and then blacking out, where presumably Steven took over for a little bit, although it does allude to the fact that there's another personality.
There's a third personality. Yep. I'm excited for that.
So there's a lot there that's interesting to me. I just some of the stuff, like what y'all are saying, the God talks and things like that, which again, I thought that was an interesting set piece. I thought the performance of Oscar Isaac in belting out the speech was very good. But I agree. Maybe the dialogue's not the best or well thought out, and that's kind of a story issue there. So there's I kind of go back and forth the whole time I'm watching, where I start to get kind of okay, let's get to the next thing. But then there will be a cool fight. I thought the actual Moon Knight fight scene in this episode was good with all the
spears.
I thought that was really, really cool.
I saw the stupidest, clickbaitiest title about this episode, and it said that Oscar Isaacs will no longer be a Marvel superhero. And I clicked on it. It was what, did he not get renewed for season 2? And they were since he lost Ashnu's power, he doesn't have superpowers anymore, so now he's not a superhero. And I was this is the dumbest article headline I've ever read. This person should feel bad. They should just step out of traffic.
Man, I'm so sick of those headlines, man. It's so annoying. But yeah, no, I agree. I really liked, I laughed really hard when he turned into Steven Moon Knight in the suit and then got stabbed through the chest with a spear. He's like, you take it! That was really funny.
Was good. That was good.
And yeah, I forgot about the whole, he lost his whole Khonshu thing. Khonshu's stone now. And so it looks like next episode we get to see them solve problems completely without Khonshu. And I think that's going to be interesting. I think we're going to get a look at the third personality during this. I think next episode is going to be dope. And I like this one. But it probably wasn't my favorite, but it had some of my favorite moments.
what you just described is 100% right. We're going to have to see them problem solving without him, but I don't want to see that. Give me 60% more Moon Knight, not 100% less.
I think if they
the
do,
coolest part from the last episode was, like you said, when he was fighting the guys with the spears. He does the silly multiple personality thing. Now he's in a suit. Now there's a spear in him. Take it back. Now you're Moon Knight again. That's Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Now you're reading a Moon Knight book and you're having a good time. Not having Moon Knight isn't. It's not the thing.
So I think if they take this next episode as a chance to explore the characters of Steven and Mark and whoever the third one is, I think that it will allow them to just dump Moon Knight on us for the last couple episodes, and it just, you know what I mean? Like, I think it'll
think the next one will probably be some like sneaking around subterfuge type of spying on Ethan Hawke and seeing what their people are doing, so that you can uncover that whole plot, you know, in sort of a Splinter Cell type of way. Instead of them kicking in the front door, they can let you know where they're excavating, what they're doing, who they're worshiping, and then show the monster come out. And, you know, that'll be a good set for the next one.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for it. I'm still in.
Ethan Hawke is the man.
I think he's crushing it.
Guy. Mm-hmm.
He's crushing
he's
it.
great. I think a lot of my complaints are things that y'all have kind of touched on. I hate sounding like, as somebody who likes movies that make you think and shows that make you think, and I like plot and worlds and everything, I hate that my complaint about Moon Knight is like, less plot. I just want to see Moon Knight fighting stuff more, because I feel like that sounds lame, but that's just kind of my takeaway. Whenever he's Moon Knight, I'm enthralled. I'm like, oh yeah, let me see more of this. But I hate that makes me sound kind of lame, I think.
I mean, it's fine to want that. It's a superhero show, you know. That's what you're here for. I mean, honestly, him when he's Moon Knight isn't like. I mean, it is cool. But it's I really enjoy his like multiple personality people stuff when he's fumbling through life a lot. Personally, I don't know. I think it's funny. But yeah, Moon Knight. That was it. All right.
Moon Knight. Yeah, moving on. What's next?
I'm watching is also back to HBO. Tony Hawk was on HBO. This was on HBO. But it is... Oh, I'm sorry. I popped back in. The next one is another HBO, just like Tony Hawk was an HBO. Except this one is from True TV. And it's like, I don't know, maybe like 10 years old. Look, if you're looking for something to watch before bed or just something to watch real quick while you're snacking on a cheese roll-up, so you're not trying to sign up for a whole show or a whole movie. You just want to pop something on, maybe you want to walk away and go to bed soon. Impractical Jokers is on HBO Max now.
Yeah.
And I had seen Impractical Jokers on and off over the years. You know, it's one of those shows that just happens to be on and you catch a little bit. It's nice to be able to, I guess, it's like I said, it's a good show to just put on. There will be times when I played enough of a video game and I'm getting ready to go to bed, but it's not quite bedtime yet. And 15 minutes of watching best friends play mostly harmless pranks on each other is always a good time. I don't know if you know what Impractical Jokers is. I'm sure most people have heard of it, but maybe not. It's four best friends since high school doing like hidden camera type of pranks on people, mostly in New York. All the guys are New Yorkers. So there is a little bit of that. I don't know if these guys are funny or if they're just dickheads from New York. Sometimes they ride that line.
Pranks on each other or pranks on random people?
Each other.
Both.
Mostly each other.
It's both. It is mostly each other, but they're interacting with people in the public. But usually they have to say things. They have an earpiece in and they have to say things that they may not necessarily want to say. Things that could embarrass the crap out of them or make the other person angry.
Yeah, they interact with people, but it's in a way that's uncomfortable for the actor, not necessarily the person. You know what I mean? They're not like tripping people down the stairs or anything.
Yeah, there's a line. Of course, sometimes they're messing with people. Like there's a game where they're both in the grocery store and they have Post-it notes, and you have to see how many Post-it notes you can get on a person before they leave the aisle. And you can only put them on one at a time. So, like, you walk over, talk to a guy, put a Post-it note on, then I walk over, talk to him, put a Post-it note on him. Then you walk over, then I walk over, and if he leaves the aisle, whoever has the most Post-it notes wins.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. Sometimes they mess with people, and people can potentially get upset, but most of the time
it's pretty low stakes.
It's low stakes, and it's just a good, fun time. It's nowhere near as raunchy as Jackass. No one's getting hit in the balls, and no one's getting pooped on or peed on. It's reel it way, way back in. It's just silly stuff that you could get away with doing. That is Impractical Jokers. Just looking for something to watch, to laugh, to have a good time. So they're real friends since high school, and it shows. That kind of camaraderie. You can't stage it. Watching friends goof off and be friends is just something lighthearted about it. And since it's scene after scene after scene, and it's sort of improv comedy, there's almost always a chance for me. I'll laugh out loud once or twice every episode, just because I'm not expecting what they're going to say or how the person will respond. And so it's good for laughs, man. If you're looking for a laugh, check out Impractical Jokers.
Have
John, I see you've been watching. What?
Have you not seen Impractical Jokers, Drew?
Never seen an episode.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, dude, like, Impractical Jokers, me and Jenny watch it all the time. My cousin loves watching it.
I feel like they're always around. Like, they do tour and do live shows and stuff. Like, you can see the Impractical Jokers. Like, I've always seen that, but I couldn't pull any of the guys out of a lineup. I've never watched an episode. I don't know them at all.
No, I mean, it's definitely worth watching. It's fun.
They'll make jokes about that too. Like, they'll be on the show, like, because usually when it happens, it'll be like two guys out in a scene and then two guys behind, like, watching the cameras with mics that can talk to them in their ears. And they'll do cutaways where they look at each other and they're like, people wonder, how do they not recognize you? I don't know. We've been on for 9 seasons and people still don't know our faces. I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, I would recognize them, but most people probably wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
And even if you did, you'd probably be like, man, that guy kind of looks like that guy from Impractical Jokers. You may not even think it was them until it was too late.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fun show, Joe. You should check it out. I've seen all of it. I even saw the movie in theaters. Me and Jenny went and saw the movie in theaters, and that was a good time. But yeah, man, it really helped get us
deep into season 5 or 6 now. Like, I'm really cruising through it. It's an easy watch.
Yeah, I've seen all of it. Yeah, it really helped get me and Jenny through, like, quarantine. Like, we were just watching it. Like, the first, I mean, you remember, like, early quarantine. That was an interesting period of time. And we were just, we'd watch, like, 15 episodes a day,
Yes, I do know.
Yeah. And, every now and again we'll still pop it on when we feel, bored.
It's easy to watch. That's what I'm saying. It's really easy to watch. Jahan, I see that you've been watching something, and then I'll talk about some things I've been playing.
Yeah, man. This is also HBO. Young Justice. I've been rewatching Young Justice because, I got bored waiting for the new episodes of season 4 to come out. Got to the end of my rewatch. And then they were like, hey, play next episode. I was like, what? So apparently they are coming out now. They're coming out every Thursday. And I am caught up. I watched like 4 or 5 new ones that I'd previously not seen. A lot of questions are answered. This season seemed to have like a lack of continuity. Yeah, what's up, Gary?
They good again yet?
So yeah, I like it. I like what's going on. They're definitely exploring the characters you want to see a little bit more again. Not exploring some of the ones I really want to see, but like, so season 4 has like the whole like magic group of people kind of like heavily involved for part of it, and that's really cool. I like that stuff. But right, I don't know, like they're kind of finally bringing together season 4, because like there was like this storyline and then this storyline, and they did not intersect whatsoever, but they're all kind of starting to to come together a bit, and it's pretty cool. There's an episode you're gonna hate, Gary. You're gonna hate it because it involves more than one forager, and they mention, like, they even mention it in the show. Because, like, they're like, Forager is the one that wants to see Foragers home, and then we go see Forage, and, like, they won't shut up, and one of the characters is like, wow, this isn't going to get confusing at all, and, like, it's really bad, but, it's not the longest sequence, it's just, I know you're going to hate that part.
Like, you wonder why people join the Empire and why they would want to glass planets. And it's because of aliens. It's like that.
Mildly annoying aliens justifying genocide, yeah.
Now you got it.
Now I got it. But no, man, Young Justice still good. I want more. I'm hoping for, like, season 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, but it doesn't look like there will be. But, like, it didn't look like there'd be a season 3 or 4 either, so. No. They started talking about Islam really hard, too, this season. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Because, like, it scares people. But, I thought it was cool. I was like, hey, representation, yay. They did it. Gary's face.
I froze for a second, but that's great. You can't talk about Islam. It scares people. You don't talk about that in comic books.
Right.
All right. Let's pop over to what I'm playing. Let's pop over to my Xbox, Jahan. What's my Xbox looking like this week? I picked up Orcs Must Die 3. It was on sale for $15, and I knew I was going to pick it up when it came out for Xbox if it was on a reasonable sale.
Haven't you played this game already?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I know, I'm joking, because I remember y'all talking about how much you liked it on PC, and I remember you saying,
yeah, me and Gary beat the crap out of this game.
The moment that it came out on Xbox, you were going to play it again, and I just have to hold you accountable. You lived up to your word. You said you would, and you did.
Yeah, me and Gary, we're currently on our, like, endless mode playthrough. Mm-hmm. we were giving it the grease.
I set Annie's Xbox as my home Xbox, and then I bought the game, so now we have the game on both Xboxes, so we can both play it together for the low price of $15. It's already been more than $15 worth of fun. We're like 8 levels in, we're 5-starring everything, and we're retrying until we 5-star stuff and trying it new ways and different ways. Anybody who's just hearing about Orcs Must Die 3 for the first time, it's a third-person shooter/trap game. You have dozens of traps to choose from. You can put down floor traps, wall traps, and ceiling traps. And orcs come out of a door, and they try to get to your crystal. And you and your friends kill them by setting up a maze of traps.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tower defense game.
Yeah, it's like a tower defense game and a third-person shooter. It's great. You should check it out. I can't talk enough about Orcs Must Die 3. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's
$15 bucks. Well, that was 2 weeks ago when we recorded, so keep an eye out. Actually, you know what? Knowing my luck, Jahan, I bought it $15 on sale. This will be on Game Pass next week.
Orcs Must Die 2 never did, but maybe. Orcs 3, Orcs Must Die is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I remember playing the original on Xbox. Second one never came to Xbox, so I had to get it on PC. And the third one came out. So the second one, masterpiece, fantastic. First one, great, awesome. First one's single player only. Second one, they introduced co-op. Third one, still have co-op. I feel, so even though Orcs Must Die 3 was kind of disappointing for me, they didn't really change too much. And it feels kind of light content-wise, honestly. Like, the story was kind of short and kind of meh. And they added, like, this new war mode that is kind of cool, but it's also kind of garbage. It's kind of boo-boo. Like, it's this massive battle, whereas normally you're just guarding a corridor. In the war mode, there's, like, these big fields, and you can set up traps however, and, like, you can set up, like, these towers. They have war mode only weapons that you can employ, and it just kind of felt like it felt very incomplete. And then it now has 2 DLCs. I haven't touched them yet, I'm gonna grab them, but there are two DLCs that I want to play with Gary. But I hear bad things about them, and that's a little upsetting.
That is upsetting.
Well, I heard bad things about the second one, the first one. The second DLC just came out like the other day.
Okay, so I had also the same thing. I had heard bad things about the first one, but really good things about the second one.
Oh, the second one's supposed to be good?
Yeah,
cool.
It is,
because they introduced a whole new species that you have to fight that's never been in an Orcs Must Die game. They're like lizard folk.
It's supposed to be really, really hard.
Cool. Yeah. No. The honestly, like we kind of Hulk smashed through Orcs Must Die 3 real bad, and that's not fun. This game's supposed to be like I love the first one because it was challenging.
Where you say it's not fun, I think that is one of the draws to Orcs Must Die 3, especially for a Game Pass game, which I think it should be a Game Pass title. If it's going to have that level of difficulty, I think that's perfect for Game Pass. $15. This is an easy game. It's a co-op game.
For $15, this game is spectacular, worth every penny. But as a fan of the series, I wanted more.
I also want more, but I also just want more Orcs Must Die.
That's true. I'll play anything they put out.
What I want out of Orcs Must Die, it will not come out of Orcs Must Die 3. It's going to have to come out of Orcs Must Die 4. I want more. The game doesn't have enough, but Orcs Must Die 3 is a great game, and you should check it out and play it.
It is a good time.
Especially if you have a friend. It's really fun in co-op. I'm sure it's just fine by yourself, but it's really fun in co-op. Just flinging dozens and dozens of orcs off the side of a cliff and watching them all fall ragdoll physics to their death is funny every time.
It's rewarding, yeah.
Yeah, I use springboard traps and just throw people off the map. It's so funny.
Speaking of my favorite games of all time, Drew, you like turn-based like strategy games, right? So right now on PC, not at the time that this is coming out, like right now in real life, at the time of filming, what's it called? Epic Game Store has XCOM 2 free, completely free. Like you can go get it, play it free. It is one of my favorite games of all time. Like period. It's one of my favorite franchises. I uninstalled it because it was ruining my life because I couldn't stop playing, and I would be up until like 9 a.m. I'd be like, all right, cool story, Jahan. Good job being up till 9 a.m. You loser. But yeah, go get XCOM 2. That's all I have to say.
I don't even have what I've been playing on my list, but I've been deep into Persona 5 Royal is what I've been playing.
I've seen you playing that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm playing it on my PlayStation. Persona 5 came out in like 2017, and then with the Persona games, a lot of times they'll re-release the game, but with a bunch of extra stuff to it. Not like DLC. I mean, like they'll change a lot of things of the game, like dungeons have different maps and things like that. With their release. And so I played Persona 5 back in 2017, and Persona 5 Royal came out in like 2020, but I'm just now getting around to it because I picked it up in a sale for $20. And ever since I finished Horizon, because I'd been playing on my PlayStation, I was like, maybe I'll finally jump into Persona 5 Royal. And I think my save file right now has 96 hours on it or something that I've put into it in a month or so. Like, it's unhealthy. But I've been playing this game a lot, and it's a Japanese RPG to the core. It all takes place in Japan, and you're, a group of friends, and you go into dungeons, and you do turn-based RPG stuff. But when you're not doing that, you're, like, going to class and hanging out with your friends, and you choose every day what you do. Like, went to class today, and then after school, what do I want to do? And you improve your bonds with different friends or teachers or acquaintances, and so you're constantly buffing your stats, like your kindness and your charm and your knowledge and things like that, so you can excel in other things. It's very strange, it's very Japanese, and it's very, very fun if you like turn-based RPGs. I'm playing it for a second time, and it's like a good 100-hour game. So
isn't that the game where you have to shoot yourself in the face to summon your persona or something?
No, not quite.
I think in the earlier games you did that, and it was problematic.
Maybe so in the earlier ones. You don't do that in this one. But yeah, in combat you summon personas, which are like basically summons that attack for you in battle, and you can capture new ones. It's almost like Pokemon in that regard. Like you can catch new personas and add them to your arsenal, or fuse ones that you currently have into new ones. But yeah, it's really fun. Highly recommend it. It is on PlayStation.
Yes, it was Persona 3. Persona 3 used to summon your persona by your character would pull out a gun and shoot themselves in the face.
Dang, that's horrifying.
Yeah. I knew I'd heard that. It's busted.
I remember the first time I played this game. It's so out there with the storyline, like it's just so bizarre, because it's so Japanese to its core with like the writing, and it was kind of hard for me to adapt to it. But once you do, oh man, it's so good, so good.
The last game I've been playing, I also picked up on a sale. I've always got my eyes out trying to find something new or fresh or fun to play. I've never played a Disciples game before, and I guess this is part of a series of games.
Oh, this looks cool.
Yeah, so this one I wouldn't recommend for Drew. I would recommend for Jahan. It is a turn-based dark fantasy setting where you're playing this. You're playing this female lead character. You almost get killed by the bad guys, and you wake up in this like secret city, like this secret mythical city in the middle of the world. And it is your base. You can like destroy some of the structures there and turn them into new bases, and you build units here. So you build units, right? That's kind of the thing in the game. Your units can die permanently, but your heroes and your companions, when they die, they revive after battle with like very little health. They don't stay permadead, but all your other units do. You can have units from the Empire. You can have units from the Elven Alliance. You can have units from the Undead Horde, or units from the Legions of the Damned. So you can build whatever you want, and then you pick which part of the world you want to go to and who you want to make your allies in like a Dragon Age type of way. Like, it doesn't matter who you go to first, but once you pick one, that's who you're going to talk to. So I immediately built a bunch of demon units, and I went straight to the demon place, and now I am like the demon champion of the pits. And I went to the demon pit fighting place and did all the sub-quests there, and it was a lot of fun. So the way the game works is it's grid, turn-based fighting, sort of like a chessboard. You can have a bunch of forward units based on how high your character's command is, and then you can put units on your back line who can't be targeted. They just do a like sort of buff or debuff move. So I have a Banshee back there who screams and confuses people, and then a zombie back there who pukes on people and slows them. Nice. And everything else I have is bloodthirsty demons running around. So that's how the actual combat works. The overworld in the game sort of looks kind of Diablo-esque, but it's more Wandering Monster engine, where there's somebody with like a yellow exclamation point above their head, and they'll run at you to fight you. Also, that's where you get your side quests from. The side quests are really easy to manage. They don't get lost in your inventory. It's just up and down on the D-pad to track your quests. Decisions matter, the way you talk to people, what you say. I was able to convince somebody not to take a potion that would make their adrenaline, like they wanted to be the best fighter in the world, and they wanted to go into the demon fighting pits, but they were a human, and they were like, if I get this adrenaline potion, I can do it. And I was like, look, you're never going to be a demon. Like, how about you just hang out with us and you don't take this potion? And so then that person joined my army now, and then I got like a regular unit because it wasn't anybody special. It wasn't a companion, but just talking to people has different results. So it has all the things I'm looking for in a game except for character customization. But other than that one small complaint, I am loving Disciples Liberation. It doesn't really need a custom character because of all the custom dialogue. You're also playing this whole team. You're playing this whole army. And at the end, it seems like the army is going to be huge. Right now, I have like 8 units on the field, and I'm only level 5. So I think this is going to be a real fun game when I get to late game, and I have a bunch of nasty buffed up boys.
Actually, I've been watching. Like, I have it up right now, like on Steam, like on screen for everyone to see, and it's. I'm watching a little video. It's pretty cool, man.
back in the
Looks
early
exactly
Grand
like the
Theft
kind of
Auto
thing I'm
games,
into, yeah.
in like Grand Theft Auto and Grand Theft Auto 2, literally the first two, there were sliders for which gang you fought with, which gang you represented, and who liked you and who didn't. And so, of course, you can't have max out with everybody. That's a thing that's changed over the years in games where now most of the time you can have maxed out reputation with everybody. If you're late game, everybody loves you. This game goes back to that old school style that I like a little bit more,
That's dope.
where it's like, look, if you're going to side with the demons, like by the end of the game, probably mostly only the demons are going to like you. You may have a secondary ally, but like the humans by the end of the game aren't going to like the fact that you're working with the demons and the undead. They're going to be pissed. And so that's something I look forward to also is, you know, even who you support chooses who your late game adversaries will be. So it's Disciples, Liberation. It's got all the things I'm looking for. It's very strategy based. It's pretty slow, but it's also simple. The controls are easy. The menus aren't overcomplicated. So it is the kind of game that you can play, put down, and come back to without feeling completely overwhelmed like you need to restart. Which I like. I like that. And that's it. That's all I've got for games. Having a lot of fun playing. I'll let you guys know. I guess I would say I'd let you know how Orcs Must Die is, but you already know that, and you also already know that I'm just playing a gross amount of Monster Train. I found out that in Monster Train, if you have over like 100 corruption points, then you fight a second boss. And if you fight the second boss after you beat the main boss, well, then you get extra special shiny cards, not just gold cards. You get shiny cards.
Jeez, Gary.
So yeah. So now I'm going through and beating the main boss, and then having to beat a second boss back to back. So don't worry about me. I'm just playing Monster Train.
Hey man, as long as you like, I mean that's how I felt about. You're doing what I did with XCOM. You're grinding it out, man.
It doesn't keep me up at night either. It's just it's almost like sweatpants because I'll play anything else, and then it's like, you know, like just like in Practical Jokers, it's like, you know, I'm gonna go to bed in like an hour. Yeah, let's play some Monster Train before bed. And you know, the first thing, you know, you get up in the day, you get all your chores out of the way, and you're like, let me just sit down and play some games before I do anything else. And you're gonna play an hour of Monster Train. It's just the right shape and size for me. It just fits so well.
Yeah, it hasn't been the best for the podcast for me because I've only been doing Elden Ring lately, and so I don't have a lot to talk about game wise. I was playing Elden Ring before this. I killed another dragon. I got the glowstone key to enter the Magic Academy, and I have these cool new spells. I got some of the best spells in the game. Doing some quests. I have like this silver mist that like it hurts me too if I walk into it. I don't know. Elden Ring's been dope, but that's all. That's all I've been playing.
It's so weird. Such weird people are playing Elden Ring. So it's not weird to me that you are at all. It makes sense that you are. But Nick Chad got Elden Ring, and he's put like maybe not hundreds of hours, but 20s of hours into it.
I'm not that surprised.
Well, then I saw the other day that Blake got it. It's like the first time he signed on his Xbox in like forever.
That one's a little more surprising.
And he signed on to play Elden Ring, and I was like, I'll be damned.
Bro, I'm telling you, man.
It's just that kind of game, man. I think people are just straight up interested.
It's one of the... It's so fun. The whole... Like, it's literally the second you get bored. Like, what I do, I get bored, right? I get stuck on a boss. I'm bored. I go to a different part of the map. I'm no longer bored. I'm having fun. And then I'm like, ooh, what's that? Ooh, what's that? Hey, look over there. There's a shiny thing. Ooh, what's that enemy? I've never seen that before. That's crazy. I'm going to go mess with it just to see if it can kick my ass or what. Oh, are those just dragons fighting in a field? Let me go mess. You know, it's just fun.
Have you seen the Elden Ring, like, folk legend guy who was born on the internet?
No.
His name, I think his name is Let Me Solo Her. And it's a guy who plays Elden Ring.
Yeah.
He helps you fight the last boss, but only if you let him solo the last boss. He wears a bucket on his head and a loincloth and has 2 katanas. His image is starting to pop up all over the internet.
There's a few of those like super badass Elden Ring players around.
Yeah, let me solo her.
I will
That
never
is
be one of them.
exactly. It's exactly.
IGN
his
had an
name.
article. We spoke to Let Me Solo Her, the Elden Ring community hero we need and deserve. And then The Verge had a headline that said, "I tried to duo with Let Me Solo Her in Elden Ring, and it didn't go well." Taku said, "Elden Ring player Let Me Solo Her has become a total legend among fans."
So I'm not even a fan of Elden Ring, and I know who this is because I was looking at a video game thing the other day. It was like, top 10 video game characters of 2022. And I'm like, what the fuck is this from Elden Ring? And it's Let Me Solo Her. So now I know even this legendary folklore type of character born in the internet, born from Elden Ring. It's a cool world we live in, man. It's like a fireside folk tale.
Yeah,
except it's this guy.
It's, I don't admit, this game is the current video game pop culture. It just is. I'm playing it. My younger brother's playing it. My older brother's husband is playing it. And it's to the point where my older brother, who this is not his kind of game, might play it. You know what I mean?
I'm on the fence. If it was in my house already, like it's in his house, I'd be playing it.
It's in his house already. It's fair.
Drew and I talked about this. I would love to pick this game up at half price. If I can get Elden Ring at $40, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
I just don't want to pay full price for something that I'm positive that I'm not going to like because I don't like Souls games. I know I'm not going to like it. And I'm going to force myself to like it. I just don't want to do it at the price of $60.
You might hate it, and like in the beginning, it's punishing and really, really hard. But once you get over like a little hump, like once you like get into the world, once you get your mount, which is pretty early, and once you level up a few times, you can kind of start having a pretty damn good time, I'd say. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about Elden Ring anymore. Sorry.
All right, well, that's all of our video games. It's all of our movies, and that's all of our streaming shows. Does anybody want to talk about anything else?
Nah, I'm good.
Want to get any deep, dark secrets off your chest and share them with our
deep,
viewers?
dark secrets.
You let them know where the body is buried.
They'll never find it.
You gotta wait till episode 100 to find out where the body's buried.
But yeah, so I've been Johanan at RockFact on Twitter. Hit us up with hashtag Yo Mama. I don't care. I don't care what you do.
Tag Monster Train Sweatpants.
Yeah, there you go. Hashtag Monster Train Sweatpants. To let us know what your guilty pleasure or comfort game is.
I'm Casualty CDG. I'm the co-host of Fresh Out the Box and Fresh Out the Podcast. Looks like I got a couple of texts. I'm also going to be the co-host of Fresh Out the Kitchen, Fresh Out the Shoebox, and Fresh Out the Aquarium. Okay, so look forward to me doing those shows next week. If you like tabletop games, check out me and Jahan every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's when we play tabletop games. We read rules, and we talk to professionals from the industry, the tabletop industry, in the board game industry. Tell your friends about Fresh Out the Podcast. We're the best podcast.
We are. And I am Drew Munhausen. You can catch me at Drew Munhausen on Twitter. And again, this has been episode 42 of Fresh Out the Podcast. We will catch you next time.
Stay fresh.